Yes, we did it. Okay, cameras are good. How's it going, everybody? This is Turned Down for Walt here, and I'm joined by my co-host, Radar, welcoming you guys to the third episode of the Mix-Up. We got a really cool one today. We're going to be talking about some custom stage shenanigans that have been going on in recent times. I know that this is a very special episode to Radar, so I think he's going to be pretty pumped to be talking about that. But more importantly, we have some really, really exciting guests for you guys. You can see on screen right now. These guys probably need no introduction, but pretty solid melee player, I'd say, and pretty decent PM player as well. Junebug, and very average melee player as well. iBDW joining us. Thank you, and welcome to the show, guys.
Wow, great intro. Thanks, Walt.
Not gonna lie, I thought you were just calling him a PM player and calling me a decent melee player.
Yeah.
I kind of was, and then I realized, like, oh shit, like everyone.
You at least gave me both. I think the more the more.
Oh, like, he's not gonna be happy about that.
Yeah, you could give me a better stab by just calling me a PM player.
Yeah, that's what I was going with. I was like, dang, he's just a PM player now. That sucks.
Fair enough.
But I wear it with it's a badge of honor for me.
Absolutely. But yeah, we got a lot going on tonight, guys. Again, I know Radar, you actually just released a really cool video actually talking about custom stages as well. So I know you got a lot to say about our main topic for the evening.
Like I think with all my videos, they're still video essays. So like some of the positions I argue might not always be positions I hold. But I do have a lot of thoughts. Obviously, I wouldn't have made a video without it. And I think we have probably two of the best people to have on to discuss that or discuss custom stages generally. So I'm pretty excited for kind of the discussion generally and what we're all going to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, I see some people filtering into the chat right now. Welcome. We will be doing like a quick Q&A at the end. Of course, the hashtag #AskTheMixup is ever present on Twitter for whoever, like two of you that use it sometimes. But we'll be answering some questions either from there, from YouTube, or here in the Twitch chat as well. So if you guys have questions for us, for Cody, for Junebug, throw them that way, and we will try to get to them at the end of the show. We'll kind of keep them documented for later. I think kicking off, we can talk about the tournaments after if we feel like we're going to be short on time, but maybe we just do the 2020 recap and kind of talk about how good / shitty this year might have been for about a lot of people.
Yeah, so I think it makes sense, like we were talking about this with beforehand, that like it's, even though 2020 was kind of a garbage year in a lot of ways, it still was another year forward for the scene. And even though there were a lot of bad things about it, maybe it'd be a good time, it's January, New Year's kind of passed about a week ago, to sort of speak about things that we enjoyed this year, maybe personal successes, maybe events we really enjoyed, stuff we liked watching. I don't know who wants to start us off, if anyone has kind of some ideas right from the start.
I have a yeah. I mean, we could go clockwise if you guys want to start.
That's what I figured we would do. Yeah, just clockwise.
Yeah. So do you want to start with me or start with you, June?
Sure. I can start. Yeah, sure.
Oh wait, he's not top left on the Mix-Up. Never mind, that's Walt.
Oh,
no,
this is so confusing. Oh my god.
Yeah, I just realized that there's a completely different order.
They're all in order.
Okay.
I'm watching. Yeah. So
wait, who should maybe
just start, and we'll go in the.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. Cool. I actually had a pretty decent year, all things considered, with all the shitty stuff that went on in the world. Huge year for growth for me, which is very exciting. I think I went up like 25,000 subs on YouTube or something like that, which is really cool. Very promising for upcoming years, and still kind of hammering away at that goal. And this is why we're here on Twitch right now, is to kind of move into this this form of a platform as well. In terms of things that went on relative to the Smash community and my involvement with it, the biggest thing that comes to mind, and the reason why I wanted to include a little segment about this, was 5 Days of Melee. That was probably one of the coolest projects I had the pleasure of being a part of. Many a sleepless nights, along with working a full-time job, was not super enjoyable, but the end product was really great. And there was a lot of cool stuff about that too. I'm sure June is excited about the PM stuff that we were able to do for that and kind of scrap that together last minute. So I think it was overall like a pretty good year for Melee, which is weird to think about when there were like 2 majors at like January and February. So I don't know, it was cool.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next. Definitely agree. I think we had a lot of cool stuff. I think on a personal note, yeah, I think gained like almost 10K subs. Not as much development as you, but still kind of exciting on that note. Definitely want to keep pushing there. Kind of a random one, but I had a sort of side goal to do music for a tournament trailer at some point, and I guess I kind of did that with the 5 Days of Melee thing. So
Dude,
that's not that's not the kind of music I thought I would be making. Like I thought I'd be making some kind of real banger thing to get people hyped. And I guess broadly speaking, it could be considered that. But that was a cool personal milestone. I think Slippy coming out was super exciting. That was not something I had expected. I think Genesis was super good. 5 Days of Melee, of course, I was involved in as well. That was kind of first time commentating more frequently. I guess I had commentated a bunch on a couple of side events, but I did like that a lot more. So I would also say it was a pretty good year in spite of everything else.
I actually forgot
June?
that you and me did Untitled, because that was during this whole
situation
too.
Yeah.
As a quick
Well, that's when I
little
first started
aside,
doing it. I did it, which I miss so much. Like I know Save as Untitled is not looking to do tournaments and stuff as much anymore, but those were really, really fun events just generally for me. So, but yeah, June, you want to go next?
Yeah. So in light of keeping it positive, because there was a bunch of negative in the world and also the Smash community, I am going to focus on the positive.
Sure.
So I also had a good year for YouTube. I started YouTube stuff like this year. I like took a long break with like I had made like PM guides and like various like random YouTube content in the past, but this year I actually sort of put my nose to the grindstone and had really good growth. I think I had like 3,800 subs this year, which is good for like first year, like actually like starting
it's
to grind.
definitely exponential. So
No, I'm super excited, and I'm creating content I care about and like trying to stay involved in the Smash community in a way that's sustainable for me. I finished all my master's coursework. That's pretty cool.
That's excellent.
Hopefully they give me my degree, but that's a different that's a different issue. Was happy to see my friends do well in Melee and in other games. You know, Zane and Cody and a lot of MDVA players are doing well. I'm like skipping over all the like little road bumps in my head. It's like, oh yeah, that was a bad thing.
You're like July. Nothing happened July. Let's just keep moving.
Dude, I remember actually messaging you when we were starting up the 5-Dom stuff, and I was like, yo, like June, I need you to get going on this PM stuff. And you were like, yeah, like as soon as I defend my thesis, I'll be on it. And I was like, oh, when are you doing that, man? And you're like, oh yeah, tomorrow. And I was like, oh, well maybe don't do anything Melee or PM related at all until you do that.
People were grinding for 5-Dom. I was impressed at how many hours were put in. I can't believe I forgot. Like 5 days of Melee and the opportunity we had in P Plus there was so amazing. Walt being a doc kid is unsullied by the prior Smash community takes in PM. So he was like, let's give it another chance. And we had our best viewership, I think, in over half a decade. I think like we got 4K viewers on one of the show matches at one point. And like I really hope other tournaments and streamers follow suit, because I think like it showed that people still care about PM or P Plus and Smash, and it was very Christmas spirit. It was a nugget of light in a very dark history for PM. So shout outs to Walt for that. But most people don't know that Walt was the reason that happened.
Well, thank you.
Walt and MDZ, but yeah, super cool.
All right, Cody.
Sure. So, if I'm being brutally honest, the year was absolutely objectively terrible until about September for me. And then from that point on, it was like the best 3 months of my life. How do you get that much of a dichotomy? Good question.
Sounds very 2020 though. So.
Yeah, and it's in the reverse of most, because most people were like, 2020 started off great. And I was like, the first 6 months of 2020 for me were actually terrible. I hated every single month. Not a very suboptimal living situation, which was nobody's fault. Just the kind of conglomeration of a bunch of really bad coincidences that just kept piling on top of each other, and it was just like Murphy's Law, where everything that could have went wrong basically did. But the second I got on my own stuff, it was amazing, because now I'm like top 3 NA, which is awesome. And Twitch I just hit 1,000 subs today, and YouTube's doing really well. It's like growing by like 1,000%, like 100% every month. So last 3 months have been amazing. Everything before that was garbage for me, but I'm super happy now. I'm actually the happiest I've ever been in my life. I feel guilty because everyone's like 2020 sucked, and I'm like, I thought it was great, and I feel really guilty, but there's not much I can do about it. But yeah, no, I'm super happy with the way my year as a whole turned out, because even the parts that were bad was paved the way for like a lot of personal growth that I kind of had to get over at some point, and so even with that, it was still like very necessary. And so I love 2020 for me personally, and I'm barely affected by COVID, which I'm thankful for, but it's awesome. I do want to travel.
Like, great to hear. I mean, like, who doesn't want to hear that? You know, you're happier than ever. That's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, that's really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have nothing to complain about.
Speaking of iBDW subs, part of the reason that we are doing this podcast today and our main topic is actually because you have a subscriber tournament coming up pretty soon, right? And happy almost birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's on my birthday. So it's a week from tomorrow, and it'll be on my birthday. And I'm going to get super drunk and be on commentary, and it's going to be great. And probably 20 people are going to be mean to me, and I'm going to be like, ha, I don't care. It's drunk my birthday.
Dude,
so
it sounds really fun.
Yeah, I'm going to have a great time. I can't wait. Do you post this to YouTube, by the way, Walt?
Yeah,
the Mixup goes on Radar's YouTube, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, you can make like a community post to get anyone from your subs, because you have a bigger YouTube platform, to get them to come over here and watch. Yeah, I would make a YouTube community post right now if I were you. Just get some extra people in.
Right now. Do it right now.
Shit, man. Fuck.
Listen, as the person who got him to use Twitter, I think I'm allowed to give him this advice.
Cody can be my social media manager from here on out.
You don't want me as your manager. I type some things I know you could do. You see my Twitter, you don't want me as your social media manager.
That would be the funniest, like, top player bio. It's like, top player for Panda.
Social media manager for me.
I kind of want to put it in there as a meme
what
now,
an upgrade.
just to fuck around.
I'd be so down. Okay, anyway, while I begrudgingly do what Cody demands of me, I feel like we have a little bit of time to maybe kind of recap some of the cool things that have been going on here. Namely, there were 2 online events that had like over 300 participants, and they were like region locked too, or something like that. Or kind of region locked. I don't know if Xanadu was, but HNC was, I'm pretty sure, and that is pretty insane to me. I don't know if you guys caught any of that, or if there's anything that really struck your attention from either of those events. But I think just the sheer number of entrants alone is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm happy people finally could see how good Junebug is. I've been waiting for that for years.
Junebug is sick.
If anyone knows me, I've literally been hyping this kid up for like 2 years, and I'm just so happy that finally people got to see him. It's like, and I kept saying on Twitter, like, this kid's sick and like really fun to watch. I'm like, I know. I'm trying to tell you that for years.
It's been so long since we've had like a sick Cheek.
Yeah.
Because,
I want to give a shout out to so for people who are in chat who are looking for like other podcasts to listen to. I know like Melee Stats kind of came back with 5Dom. There's Analog, who is kind of like inactive, and I think Cody, you're actually doing one with Leffen pretty soon.
Yeah, might as well go for it. We got to schedule it.
And then 6-4 is kind of like whenever there's a full moon and Mango's awake or whatever, I don't know. But the Wannabes podcast actually does a lot of really, really cool interviews with players. They do kind of like progress talks with other people, and they've been kind of like secretly getting these calls with people before they have these breakout performances. So I believe they actually have a 1v1 with J-Mook as
They do,
well.
yeah.
And
Wow.
it's like really cool interview. Like they get all these people like before they have these insane come ups and everything like that. So if you guys are itching for more podcast content for your commutes, whatever you guys might be doing, definitely check the Wannabes out as well.
Double vouch, they're two of my good friends from when I came up in Tri-State. JD was one of the hosts, and Wasabi. Actually, both of them played
wow.
Melee in Upstate, which
Yep.
is where I started. So they've been good friends of mine for like 5 years. So big vouch for them.
Yeah, I didn't know those guys were doing that podcast. That's cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In
All right.
terms of
Anyway,
the-
someone else talk because I just posted the thing on YouTube for you, Cody. So I hope that pleases you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I was gonna talk a little bit about Xanadu because I was commentating that event.
Mhm.
Let me pull up the bracket because I like forget exactly.
I took a few names down that I definitely wanted to mention. One being LSD. Shout outs to South Carolina. I don't know if he still lives there.
Yeah.
Right.
The laggiest connection.
I actually played him when I lived in South Carolina when he was like 13, and he was still way better than me when I was like in college. And
He's gotten good.
yeah, so he's had a huge come up. I think so. He placed 4th. Eddie Mexico placed 5th,
Yes.
and then another notable placement was Lag, who was a Mexico Roy player, who
Whoa.
placed just outside of top 8.
Yeah.
So emphasis on the tag. I think it makes sense given the distance, but still Mexico Roy. It's kind of hard to ignore.
Yeah,
that.
that's really
Yeah.
cool. Laud also had, Laud won
Yep,
the
yep.
tournament and had an incredible run, 3-stocking HBox, and it's online HBox, so great grain of salt. But
Peach
yeah,
Puff.
and it's peach. It's peach
40
puff.
man.
No, I don't care if it's online. That's Peach Puff, dude.
It's
I don't care if
peach
it's online
puff,
or not.
and Laud, is in medical school. It's not
That's
like,
right.
yeah, and Laud has plenty of Johns he could use to, but he's just.
HBox could be playing with a Mad Catz controller, and I wouldn't care.
Yeah, Lot is so freaking insane.
Yeah, watching him make a run like that was very entertaining to do on commentary. We had to like actively stifle our bias
Yeah.
because there's 2 MDVA commentators. We had commentating lawn matches. So like, yes, good match, good match.
Hey, real quick, I just want to acknowledge Ginger. Thanks for the raid. I don't know if he's still in here. I just wanted to say thanks before he might have been out of here. So
Ginger also had a really good run at that tournament.
did.
Just gotta add. I was really impressed by his play. Super clean.
you're talking about
or she-
HNC or Xanadu?
Xanadu, but did he also?
He got
enter HNC?
second at HNC. I think.
Wow.
I think it was him, Moki, for Grands.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, yeah.
He got
It
second.
was.
So Ginger, like, pretty consistent in these online tournaments
Yeah.
of late. Like third at Xanadu, second at HNC.
He's pretty clearly like top 15, borderline top 10 at this point. Like I could see
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
very real argument for him being top 10 online.
No, for sure. This is like a total random thought just because June mentioned biased commentary, but do you guys ever feel like biased commentary is actually good? Like,
If it's good
Total-
commentary, it's good
total fine.
commentary.
Yeah, yeah.
commentary,
I think
good
it can be
commentary, like-
entertaining regardless of bias for sure.
I also
like
think it can still be
Yeah.
objectively
they're
good,
going,
even if
woo,
it's biased.
okay, that's not great, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
if people are just like screaming for someone like unintelligibly and there's nothing of substance there, then I think that's just blatantly rude. But if someone
Fair.
like clearly has like an affiliation but is still doing a pretty good job of like commenting on what's going on in the match, then I don't really care.
Yeah.
then
that's
they're like
fair.
invested.
I'd like to
Anyway.
think we tried to do that in our Xanadu sets, but I haven't had
You
people
gave off the
tell me-
illusion. You gave off the illusion that you tried, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, nobody's hit me up saying otherwise. So
You gave off the illusion that you tried, and that's good enough, at least to me.
But yeah, a lot of cool stuff going on for HNC and Xanadu. I think June, actually, you would be able to answer this. Is Xanadu weekly or bi-weekly
Is Xanadu is
or monthly?
weekly.
Okay.
We're doing it every Wednesday. This first one was pretty big because we had a pot bonus, but they're free to enter every Wednesday, and you get a chance to show your friends up on the VGBC stream. So I think this week we had around 100 some entrants.
Nice. Okay.
And yeah, it was pretty entertaining. LSD actually beat Hacks in winners finals, and then Hacks won in 2 sets, 3-1. But man, it was.
Wait, where was this?
This was at Xanadu
Last
yesterday.
Xanadu.
Oh, I completely
The
missed that.
not 500 entrant one, right? So that was the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, no, very very entertaining sets there. Very impressed with LSD's play. Hacks definitely turned it on in first two sets or second two sets. Yeah, first game it was game 5 and like very close, I believe, in winners finals, and LSD clutched it out. But then Hacks actually kind of went off in grand finals. There was a couple of rage quits from LSD. It looked methodical. How well he was playing. So
Jeez.
and it's super entertaining because Marth Fox. Yeah.
But
entertaining matchup.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so a lot of cool stuff going on for these events, both of them weekly. So a lot of cool melee going on. I think we should probably pivot to the main topic. I know, Radar, you've been itching to talk about this. You have the whole video queued up.
I mean, you're pushing it a little too hard. Like, I like talking about other stuff too. It's not like I'm like sitting here being like, we gotta fucking talk.
This is your topic, man. Like,
I just think it's something that people need to actually dedicate some time to with community figures in a conversation. Like, I got a comment today that basically said like it's frustrating people only talk about this stuff on Twitter, and I don't totally agree with that, but I think like there is something to be said for some of the discussion is like had in these spaces that maybe aren't as public or aren't as easy to kind of keep track of. Maybe if you kind of were to ask someone, what do top players in the scene think of custom stages, it might be hard to answer for certain people. Like they might go, oh, I saw iBDW did a bunch of videos on it and he's hosting a tournament, so he's probably not like screw custom stages. But what does what does HBox think about it? I don't really know. And so we still will not know that by this podcast, but you get what I mean, trying to kind of throw it to a public forum.
Yeah, so I'm going to move over to our other layout where we have a few sample stages, I guess, in mind. So I guess, Cody, if you could tell us, I guess, do you have a stage list set up for this event?
I do.
So I guess you can kind of yay or nay if any of these images on here are going to match with what's going on for your event. I believe this is the flat zone one, right?
I have pretty not comprehensive, but like I definitely have initial opinions on all of these stages so far.
Yeah, sure.
How I wanted to do it was basically at a certain point we'll literally go stage to stage, talk about our thoughts. But I think we can start off by saying like how you're kind of approaching the tournament. You can kind of introduce that, and then maybe just talk about on a general level kind of what are some of the arguments for and against it. How do we feel about that before we get into kind of should flat zone be legal or is flat zone a good stage? More just kind of
and also
topic.
We're not going to actually have an answer yes or no until we actually test
exactly
answer immediately. So I want to like preface anything I say. I'm not claiming to be objectively correct, nor am I claiming to be like an authority on this topic. This is just my opinions.
I am very glad you said that, Cody, because that is something I definitely wanted to.
We'll talk about that.
I am not an authority, and this is not like don't take anything I say as matter of fact. These are my opinions and my opinions only.
I was referring specifically as to the testing. Like we haven't tested a lot of these stages, and there's like a long process to sort of like figuring out what stages will be viable in competitive play.
I think a good place to start it off actually is with you, June, because I think part of the appeal we wanted to have you on for is the PM angle of everything. And
right.
You know, Project M has like 50 billion viable stages that they go through. And it affects a lot, right? Like it changes how your pick bans are, it changes your counter picks. I think you get like 2 or 3 counter picks per game now. I don't know if you have like DSR enabled still or anything like that. So
I'll just explain the PM stage list real quick. I think it's 10 stages right now. 5 neutrals and 5 counter picks. And the way it works is you have 2 bans. Like after a set ends, you strike 2 stages instead of the 1 ban. And I believe that's how the counter picking system works right now in PM.
When I went to a tournament, that's what I had.
Yeah, and very different than the way stage lists work in Melee. For one, the neutrals and the counterpicks in Melee are like interlinked. Like FD's a neutral, Dreamland's a neutral, Yoshi's a neutral. Even though these stages, like some wouldn't consider neutral,
Right.
but we have 5 neutrals and 1 counterpick stage. So that's an important thing to consider in making a stage list, is like, how many stages do you want? Like, how do you want the banning system to work? Because that's going to dictate a lot of the meta as well. Yeah, and a lot of these stages like took some elements from PM, which I like. But yeah, I'll get into that when we go over the stages specifically.
Yeah, so I think as like a general question about all the stages as a whole is kind of like the PM approach. Is adding stages to a competitive rule set, is that almost too much of a good thing? And what I mean by that is, like, again, like for PM, you added a counterpick, right, June? And then you have multiple counterpick stages, but you have the same number of starters that Melee has. How does our rule set get changed if that's something that actually has competitive integrity moving forward? And is that something that's even viable for us to do in the first place?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. I think in order for the Melee community to like want to expand the stage list and sort of have like a 2-ban like neutrals and counterpick system, they would have to really look at a stage and be like, okay, what is a neutral? Like, what is this stage okay to have on a starter? Because in PM, FD isn't a starter. We're like, yeah, this stage is very polarizing. And neither is Dreamland and like WarioWare.
Cody's cringing.
A lot of the stages that offer a significant advantage to certain characters, they're not considered neutral. The neutrals are like, some characters will have an advantage just based on the way stages are built and like blast zones and ceilings and whatnot. But yeah, I think right now the way the Melee stage list is structured, in order to think about it like in terms of separate neutrals and counterpicks, there'd have to be like a really intense discussion about what a neutral stage is. So I think a more foreseeable option with Melee is like making sort of the more like agreed upon stages that are counterpick levels, like Dreamland and FD counterpicks, and then filling in with like some of the neutral stages that people have tested. Like I know what's the one that's like kind of Metal Cavern, like is this the platform in the center and then a flat down?
Jungle Japes, yeah.
Best stage in that stage list, IMO. I actually think that stage is amazing.
Yeah, I think that format's pretty good. I think if they have like a Smashville style stage, that's pretty neutral.
Yeah, agreed.
Big Smashville fan.
So that's a method I could see the Melee rule set moving through, because I think like introducing a lot of stages, it might give people a little bit of like shock. It's like, whoa, what happened to my Dreamland or something? But sure. I mean, I would love to just test large stage lists and see what works, see what's not. But like, I definitely want to take it slow so people don't get overwhelmed.
I think there's like, I some of this stuff gets covered in the video, but I wanted that more to be like a primer for discussion. I know probably not everyone here has watched it, both in the chat and in the call maybe, but yeah, thank you, Jude.
I did not. I'm sorry.
No, it's not a problem.
I think also
one of the things maybe that would be like a good thing to start is, so the way I structured my video was kind of like talking about some of the common arguments, and I think the one that gets brought up probably the most, it's in these show notes that Walt has, is kind of this idea that if you change something in Melee, who's to say that it won't, next week we'll have Fox have a 2-frame shine, and next week Marth will have...
I hate that argument for the stages. I think that stage is
slippery slope, man.
It's literally a slippery slope. It is like
everything's falling out of place.
You got a pretty visceral reaction from Cody, so So speak to why you hate it so
Yeah.
much, because I hate it
because
too.
because you can define clear parameters to define exactly what you're doing. Changing a stage list, you can clearly say, okay, we're modifying the stages in which we can play the game, and that doesn't necessarily have to lead, if you define it properly, to I'm going to change character frame data, because you're not changing anything about the characters. You could change the stage list without changing characters. There, in no way in my head do you necessarily have to connect those two things, and so I don't understand in what universe to me that is like an objective slippery slope argument, or at least I haven't been presented one that's like logically follows yet, at least as far as I'm aware.
I think the biggest one that that you actually pointed out in your video too, Radar, is probably just the Nintendo one. I don't know if that's like a bad
We'll
word
get
to
to
say
that, I
on
think.
Twitch, but yeah.
It's not bad or anything. I think like there's different arguments I think that are worth sort of looking at, and so
Yeah.
to me, if anything, the Nintendo argument it's still interesting, but it's almost less interesting because really it's one of those things where yes, okay, this arguably does make us more kind of susceptible to backlash from Nintendo, and yes, there are some counter arguments that like we already have Frozen Stadium, and I know I mentioned this. I don't know if Cody was on the call yet, but I saw that you said on stream that there is some differences between if we added in like totally new stage assets versus modifying existing ones. I don't know.
Legally, there's a gigantic difference.
Okay, yeah. So like there's some kind of interesting discussion there, and maybe we get there. But I think first, speaking about this kind of slippery slope idea, which is it is what it is. It's for those who aren't familiar, a slippery slope fallacy is basically like, you know, hey, we start having plant-based meat. What's to say that we aren't eating dog shit tomorrow? And it's like, what the fuck? Like, those two,
Yeah, no,
like,
it
That's
doesn't
probably
make
the
sense.
perfect way to
It's
describe
all
it.
logically
yeah.
just as well. Like to
Yeah.
me, logically, that follows just as well as the other argument. It's completely irrelevant to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. I think one of the things that I didn't bring up in my video that I realized I really do want to talk about, and I think, you know, you guys are the perfect people to talk about this, is I feel like one of the biggest differences is that we as a community have basically a lot of experience evaluating stages because we have played on them so long. And when you compare character changes, that's something that we have almost no experience outside of if we've ever played PAL before. Okay. You can say, you can say that PM is a thing, and I agree, like that is still relevant. But like, I think people have this idea that like if we were to ask Cody, for example, what would it be like if the tournament list was, you know, you running Jungle Japes? He'd already have some thoughts. If we ask him, like, once we get to the breakdown of stages, he's gonna say like, oh, I like this, don't like this, and there's some stuff I don't know until I test. But if we said like, what would happen if we added an extra frame on Fox's back air? Like, he's not going to be able to give you a laundry list of all the things that would change because it's such a complex change, right? Like, and you don't have that experience. Whereas you can say like, I know the difference between a Battlefield platform and a Yoshi's platform and stuff because I've played on it and I played on other stages. So kind of that, if that kickstarts any thoughts with you guys, I'd be interested to hear them.
I think that also stage balancing is going to be harder in Melee for not harder. It's going to be still different than even in P+. And this could be a completely wrong point, but at least to me, I think that stage list in this game is going to be, you're going to have to focus on different things. So P+ has how many characters? Like 30,
42.
You introduce a stage into Melee that, let's say down the road we did, that gives two characters a massive advantage. You're talking about 1/4 of viable cast.
Right.
So you're gonna have to look much more acutely at how what characters benefit the stage, how many characters benefit, if it's gonna be just a gross counterpick for like 1 or 2 characters, because that could actually be like a very significant issue down the road. Whereas if FD, it's like, yeah, or not FD, sorry, in P+, you're going to have stages where people are gonna bad counterpicks, but you have a cast of 40 characters. You can't cater to all of them. It's just literally just impossible. So
I do think that's an important, like almost the important thing when considering how to design a stage, like for competitive play at least. Like we want to make sure no character has an extremely abusable strategy for it. That's part of the reason I think at least in Melee and P+, walls are so frowned upon. It's like walls inherently aren't that bad, but Fox can do Waveshine Infinite on them. Like, you know, that's the consideration most people have when they're like, oh, why are walls bad? It's because this Infinite. You know?
But I think
like,
the thing is like, how do we find out that stuff outside of theory crafting, if not by running events like what Cody's doing? Like, you have to.
I don't think there's anything wrong with running the
practice.
events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you have to run the events.
I think we definitely test, but there is a breadth of knowledge that we know.
Yeah,
We
That's
know
what
that
I
like
think too,
certain top platform layouts are
right. Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
just gonna get circle camped. Like we want to prevent circle camping.
Flat
we want to
zone
prevent
is
air
one of them,
camping.
actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't like this
Slide
one
show
format.
forward here
I
real
think
quick.
I think Flat
It's
Zone's
like-
gonna be. I think Flat Zone's gonna be garbage.
Get rid of that one.
I'm gonna use it because I have to, but I think that can be terrible.
Yeah,
for
it has potential to be an extremely degenerate.
Actually,
state, I think.
curious about flat zone. Wasn't there someone that said that like does it maintain the same flat zone physics?
It's still the
as-
ZX change, yeah.
It does.
So-
And
so that does
even
change
not even
some
considering
stuff.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Fox's
Yeah.
down tilt comes out a frame faster than normal. Yoshi's grab comes out a frame faster than normal. There's like
Oh,
a bunch
shit.
of weird jank stuff because
Yeah.
of the Z-axis.
It's
I don't know
not
how it
comparable
works.
to the other
I don't
stages.
know the
like,
laundry list, but I know that these
Get it out of
things
here.
exist.
Get it out of here.
yeah. With
Oh
a
wait, I
little
did ban flat zone.
spoilers
I
for
did
what's
ban
ahead.
flat zone. Never mind. I 100% banned flat zone.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I
ZX
was gonna
stuff I
say.
couldn't get
Yeah.
past. Yeah, the ZX stuff I couldn't get past, so I banned it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
chat.
think just to touch on what you guys were saying, like that's kind of what I mean. That I think, and this isn't supposed to sound like competitive gatekeeping or something, but I think with some people who maybe don't have as much experience in the game or haven't followed the scene for as long, is they don't realize that like yes, everyone on this program would be advocating for like significant testing and stuff before it was implemented, but also some stuff actually is kind of obvious. Like
Yeah.
if you play a game and it's like, oh look, there's walls, even like the slanted edges on Peach's Castle, it's like, yeah, slanted
same
edges
as,
are not really good.
What was the one? Great Bay. You can infinite on the.
Okay, well, don't
on the
even get me.
turtle.
Don't, like
It's
Great Bay is
yeah.
Great Bay-
I have
people
a
use
clip
Great
of
Bay-
me testing that. Not only can you infinite there, I wave shine someone in the
No.
infinite, and he just fell through the turtle head.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Like all the turtles completely there. Like he was 100%
Definitely
there.
keep
I
that
could probably
one.
get the clip, and I literally just started laughing my ass off. I'm like, okay, we're not using this stage. That's for damn sure.
well, it says like not competitively viable, and like there's a description for it. So I think that's the thing is like people who made the stages realize some of the flaws. Like it's not designed to be a competitive list, which again everyone knows here.
Yeah.
And it's also like there are some things like if you play Melee long enough, you'll go like, oh, yo, Peach can't jump to that platform. Like basic stuff.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what the hell did she do there? So I think that's
Poor
where some
Peach.
people miss that. Yeah, poor Peach. Peach is actually a gate, like a big factor for me for a lot of these stages of how she can
Yeah,
affect
she
them.
cannot catch Fox on
Yeah.
90% of these stages.
And also like Congo Peach versus Ganon is how we
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, certain stages can get air camped really bad.
I would pay to see Armada try to beat a top 50 Fox on that Mute City layout because he wouldn't be able to. He would not catch them. Like it has nothing to do with like skill. He literally would not be able to catch them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like you understand that. That's not like a thing that you have to like there's you have enough experience with kind of what the game would how the game would be affected to just know
Yeah.
right off the bat that's bad. And I think some
Yeah.
people discount that experience that like, look, we already have a pretty big list of like, don't fucking do that, don't do that, don't do
Yeah,
that.
we know what works and what doesn't work to some degree already.
yeah,
And
to a
top
pretty big
platforms
list.
that high, that far apart,
Yep.
you don't try that.
No.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
The more I talk about this, Walt, the more I'm thinking maybe we just start the stage list, go through them one by one, and I think if we hit a conversation starter, a segue, like let's kind of go for it. Maybe that way it'll be kind
Yeah,
of
that works. for
I
me.
think
Well,
it's
better.
it's logical.
Well, I
to do.
think we can get the first one out of the way, right? Because it was flat zone.
no, we
Flat
could
zone.
do. Let's still do flat zone. We'll discuss in more detail, like why is this stage a problem besides the z-axis? And
I'm gonna
maybe
give
speak
you
to the
I'm gonna
z-axis.
give you a thought experiment. Okay.
Okay.
You're Peach. Fox is jumping around on the top platforms. What the hell do you do? Tell me,
So-
like, what do you do?
For people who don't know, Peach's
Fox-
double jump is very, very slow. Is the big thing. Like and it doesn't go that high. It's so the vertical mobility. That's what he's speaking to. If you're newer.
Can I
Okay.
share my screen
Anyway.
quickly? Can I show you like how to generate movement? You can
Yeah.
have?
No.
But
Does
you'll
chat wanna
be
see-
in that little
I don't-
corner.
I don't want to watch.
If you did it, I would
Chat
take
want
it.
to see what it would look like if you actually wanted to camp Peach out. Does chat want to see? Chat wants to see. I'll gladly share my screen.
This is great.
All right.
We
let's
can
share my
watch.
screen, okay.
We'll watch it in
It's-
this small lower
it's
left corner
content.
only. That's the only
So I'm
real
gonna
estate
change
you
this
get on this
here.
layout.
Yep, let me change my OBS layout. Hold on, let me change my OBS layout. Okay. So
Um,
let me show y'all real
Uh-oh.
fast.
Okay.
Oh no!
With the original thing. It's so small.
Let's show
Hang
this.
on,
Let's
let
show
me-
this. It's gonna be hard. Try to expand it if you can. But this is worthwhile. It's
No, I believe you. Yeah.
I
Oh,
actually
yeah.
open, don't I?
Oh yeah.
I do.
Because I think people who are new, they don't get this. Or not new, but like they haven't tried. They don't understand kind of maybe
expand
what
it.
stakes are.
Oh god, he's so pixely.
Is my melee gonna come up? Melee. Where's my melee? Okay, there we go. Okay, so first off, to show chat what happens when you double jump with Peach. Okay? That's how long it takes to get up here. Okay? And if you notice, when she floats, she's not too fast, is she? Takes about half a second to get one from one platform to the other. I'd say. Takes about half a second to get up here. Maybe you could double jump like Waveland. That's probably your fastest option. You might be able to like. Okay, so you can land on here with a double jump, but not very fast, is it?
I also definitely want to point out like one of the reasons WarioWare works as a stage and this doesn't is WarioWare is very small.
Yes, like, that's exactly it.
These are two giant platforms that are spaced widely apart. Like WarioWare, if you jump from plat to plat, chances are you could get hit. And even slow characters like Ganon and Peach can catch a character running away on WarioWare.
Yeah. So let me give you a just real quick one so I can get out of this pixelated thing. Concept. Match starts. Laser.
It's over.
You're coming after me? Look, I can literally sit here, and if you don't come after me, I can land. And if you do come after me, I can double jump side B over here, and you can't catch me. What do you do against this Peach? Tell me. Anyone in chat? Any geniuses got an idea? I don't.
This reminds me of a kind of a relevant point that I remember Leffen touched on a bit, I think, in his video.
I could up B and I could go down if I wanted to. Right. Like, you can't do anything.
We get it. Cut the video.
So, I touched on this a bit in my video as well, but I think there's an idea that is still, I think, somewhat correct, that like you can make tweaks to the game's balance by changing stages. I still believe that's true, but what I think people miss, and Peach is probably a perfect example of this, is when you change a stage, in my view at least, and maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, you are like enhancing or like weakening a character's existing strengths. Whereas the reason why that slippery slope argument is so weak is you are, like, if you change Fox's shine to like frame 2, very, very, or if you make Peach's jump higher, like that's quicker or higher, like that's very different than a stage that just like doesn't give Peach a good option. Like that's just sort of highlighting a weakness. And while both affect balance, like the reason why Fox or Falco or whatever are such good characters is kind of like their toolkit and how it interacts with the stages rather than like stages themselves. Like, do you guys want to speak to kind of that distinction, or whether you agree, disagree? I might not be articulating it super well.
No, I think you're right with that. Like, stages and characters are both unique systems, but like they're chaotic systems in that like one change can influence so many different things in the way like either characters or stage play. And we have determined that like we as a community do not want to alter like the characters in Melee, but like there's still this other system that like we haven't really thought about that much, at least in the current community, which is stages. Like stages can affect the meta a lot, and you know, Radar, I know you have a video on this.
As well, yeah. I have 2 videos now, so
double. No, and I think it's really important. Like, I just like when people think about Smash. Like, I like analyzing like Smash. Like, why is this platform layout good? Why is this set up? Why do we play this way? And like, digging into the history, and like, I also think there's a lot of room for improvement. We haven't been doing it that long. I think PM and Rivals and other sort of stage mods have a history of testing, but Melee really hasn't tested custom stages, and I think it'd be really interesting to see what sort of unique system we could come up with.
Yeah, I know that you mentioned the whole "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" type mental for some people, which I understand, and that makes sense also. But I think for me personally, as more less of a good player and more of a good spectator of the game, I enjoy seeing fresh takes in a game that has lasted for almost 20 years, you know? And it's great. Like there's infinite possibilities with the current set list that we have, but it's like if there's an opportunity to expand that and kind of give even more freshness to this game, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't want to try it.
Yeah.
Again, also the best time to do it right now.
Yeah.
We don't have in-person
Yeah.
tournaments. It's not like you're going to be flying across the country to test out some random stage list. Like,
Yeah,
why not try it?
online is great in that it's super easy to implement. Like we're having we're having custom stage tournament right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Download the files. Done.
I'm having one in a week.
I'm actually seeing, because Junebug, you mentioned Rivals as well. Adam Kara in the chat, big Rivals of Ether creator as well, mentioning that Rivals has too many stages. So I love the idea of doing it slowly with Melee.
I did say that earlier on, Adam. I just want to point that out. But wanted to throw out some shout outs to the games that have been testing stages. For sure.
I'm writing down any good questions I see, by the way.
Yeah,
Perfect,
good
yeah.
idea. I saw that.
I mean, all I'm gonna say, man, is like just give me a Smashville, and I'm cool with it, man. I'm gonna ask to gentlemen to Smashville every set I play
down.
forever.
I'm down.
And
I
if they
love
say no,
Smashville.
then we're gonna go there anyway, and I'll get DQ'd, and it's fine. But
I have been playing on Smashville for 12 years. You have no idea how much I'd love
That's
to
true.
see Smashville in Melee.
I like the way the
Yeah.
Smash. We'll talk about when we get there, but I really like something they did with this Smash in specific. There's a part of it that I really like. And we'll
So
talk about it when we
maybe-
get there.
yeah,
Why
like, you
don't
want
we,
to
since
move on?
we have a flat zone on it,
Yeah.
let's just, I think if we had two little numbers we wanted to give it, I think it might be useful to give some feedback. The two numbers I care about are from 1 to 10, how close is this to competitive viability? Which for this one, I'd probably say like 1 out of 10. Like it's not
It's a lot
close
closer
at
than
all.
you think. It's a lot closer than
Okay.
you think. It's just
All
the
right.
current stage is just the current way is unplayable. But if you make
Mhm.
it smaller,
Yeah.
it's actually an amazing stage.
Yeah.
Literally just make
Perfect.
it shorter.
So yeah, maybe you're right. And then the second one would be how fun is this stage? If for the people who've played, have you played on these? I forgot to ask.
I
you, but-
haven't actually. I was meaning
Okay,
to
yeah.
before this, but I want.
Yeah.
You know, life got in the way.
So maybe Walt doesn't get the fun factor, or you can, but like
Yeah.
you have. It's
Yeah.
easier
I
if
mean,
you
I have
try it, but-
experience from PM, which I think is kind of transfers a
Yeah,
little bit.
for
but
sure.
I guess it also like how fun would it be if you're getting camped by a fox as part of the
Yeah.
stage?
Oh
As
yeah,
opposed to you're
Yeah.
playing
I can
Fox,
give
they
you
live
it
on
through
this
the lens
stage.
of a washed up Mario player that I probably would
God.
hate my life being on this stage. So it's like,
So around the circle, or June, why don't we just start with you? Out of 10, those two numbers, what would you give it off the top of your head?
Okay. I mean, it's not viable right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how. So I'll just give it a rating right now because like I don't know how to rate something for its
If the
potential.
system doesn't work, you can change it. Like
Yeah,
maybe it's
yeah,
a bad rating.
So
yeah,
right now, I think it's 1 viability because it's not viable.
Mhm.
Because I would not
But
use
not
it.
close still,
Yeah.
but had some.
Yeah. The quad platform layout, the Z-axis stuff, it's just not a great one. Fun. If people are scrapping on the stage and they're not camping, it could be fun. There's some potential for like extending combos, and I would be interested to see how Z-axis stuff affects like weird
yeah.
things in Melee, but I wouldn't want it to happen to me in a tournament set. So maybe like a 5 or a 6. Fun.
Cool. Cody?
Yeah, 1 for viability, but literally like 1 change to the length and it becomes like an 8 or a 7. As far as fun goes, I play Fox, so it's very different. I think it's like actually super fun. Maybe like a 7, maybe an 8. But as someone in chat pointed out, sick double stage. Sick
I was
double
actually
stage.
gonna
Yeah.
ask, I don't-
No,
Yeah, we
it-
can talk to
Double
that as
stage.
well.
Great
Yeah,
double
I don't
stage,
want to
actually. I
derail
love
too
double
much
stage.
from just looking at stage by stage, but I didn't know if that's something we wanted to consider as well if we're talking about, maybe competitive viability in the future. Like, is there a world where we make a double stage list also?
Yeah, I mean, there's precedent. We
down.
already don't play with FOD in doubles. Like we
Yeah.
have segmented stage lists slightly in doubles. I think PM has like 1 stage or 2 that they add for doubles, like that are slightly bigger than you would want for singles. So there is precedent. It's just
We also kept Congo for a while, a lot
Yeah,
longer
for
than it was
sure.
banned in singles.
yeah.
That was
I
fun, yeah.
actually went to events that
I'd be down.
still had Congo. I played on Congo.
I want to keep
be
the
down.
focus on like stage by stage, but like I do think that doubles is a format that absolutely could use it because
Mm-hmm.
the stages are already kind of like limited as it is.
The stages are bad for doubles.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just kind of it's rough. So I don't really know. I mean, like custom stages, it's a great location to have them sit.
Yeah.
You know, if people are against it for singles, then fuck you, put them in doubles. I don't know. So-
Yeah.
Doubles definitely needs a revival. That's a
Yes.
future mix-up episode with
Yeah.
QFat and the
Yep.
Brotherhood. You know, we gotta get that going later. But,
Yeah.
let's move on to the next stage. I think we want to, for the sake of time,
Mhm.
let's go to the next one. These are just kind of two comparable. Everyone, I think I have 2 images just to kind of give some idea of like if the this one actually has a couple because the platform moves. So if
Mhm.
anyone
Yeah.
hasn't seen this
So
already,
I think this is the short version of the Smashville, right? With the moving platform, while Congo is the one that doesn't move in the
Static,
middle.
yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
this moves up and down is the big
Oh,
difference. So
Okay.
so how do you guys feel about it moving up and down?
Don't really like it.
I don't
love it.
I don't mess with it too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I like that it's stable, but I don't like the concept of a platform that's because it's so slight. It's the fact that it's the only
Yeah.
platform and it's so slight. It just is weird to me. It feels like an unnecessary like addition. The thing I really like about it is that it doesn't go off the stage.
Smashville goes off the stage.
I really like that change. I think that's an amazing change.
If you advance while in one of the pictures, you can kind of see. I think I made pictures of the edges of where it goes. The actual on the right side, it doesn't even go straight to the edge either. Like it's actually
Oh, okay.
It's like
it
about
moves
a-
like
it's about an
like
inch.
left right still though.
yeah, it's like that's as far as it goes on the right side. So it actually doesn't. It's not like Smashville in that you can have these kind of off-stage edge guards. And I
Right.
agree. I like that change too.
That is interesting. Yeah, the special platform ends up affecting a lot when it comes to edge
Mhm.
guards and recoveries and
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
the offstage stuff. So I would be interested to see how. I mean, I don't like the up and down, and it also has walls, which Smashville doesn't have, and that's a buff to characters with wall jumps.
Sure.
I don't think that's necessarily good or bad. It's just a consideration. But yeah, no, with a couple tweaks, I think I like this stage.
Yeah.
I think
same.
for people who might be curious how the platform height could affect things, and if you guys have better examples, go for it. A good example would be like maybe in a certain position, Marth can up tilt a fox, and then all of a sudden, slightly higher, he can't up tilt a fox underneath the platform.
Never mind, we're keeping
That's
it.
something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Never mind, we're on to something.
We'll just leave it at the
here.
height where he can't do it.
We're keeping it.
So that's the kind of stuff that like it's subtle. You know, I saw Jorge Matthew was talking about platform size, and you know we'll get to questions kind of further down the road, but that's platform size can affect like what area you can react to, how
Good
you
question,
follow
yeah,
up to
that's a good question.
things. Like if you want to, you guys want to feel that now because I think it's worth knowing how a platform affects things if we're gonna evaluate further down the line.
You want to go junior? I think PM has a crap ton of platform size variability.
Yeah, so we've had Green Hill Zone, I think is a good example of a platform that goes like down and up.
I'm cringing.
So,
I was cringing while I was off
Green-
camera.
Green Hill Zone has a very small platform that kind of like swings like a pendulum, like along the stage. I think when it's along the at its lowest point, I want to say it's like a battlefield platform height. It actually, yeah, the stage has like really short side blast zones, so characters that kill earlier, very good there. But the platform doesn't affect play as much as you would think for, like, it ends up being more of an obstacle than something people use. And that's the thing I kind of worry about when having a platform that moves up, down. Like, I think the good thing about Smashville is that, like, you can extend combos with it. It ends combos. You can have cool movement with it.
Yep.
But if you add the extra element of it moving slightly up or like diagonal or wherever it's moving, it just makes all that stuff harder.
What about platform width? Do you want to feel that one, Cody?
Depends on I think that's there's no formula for that question. I think that
Yeah.
it depends on too many things. Depends on the size of the stage, how many platforms are there, how high are the platforms, what are the blast zones like, how long is the stage. I think that there's a million considerations that would go into that. Like on a stage like I don't know, Dreamland, you wouldn't want like super wide platforms. It would just feel weird because like how long the stage is. It would just make it like really like weird, and it would just feel like really. It would feel like chunky's not the right word. I can't think of a good word to describe it, but it just wouldn't fit.
I feel like neutral would be a little bit more choppy.
It'd be clunky.
Yeah.
It'd be clunky. That's how I'd feel about it. But in terms of like what's the best width for a platform, there's no
Not necessarily best width, but how width affects, like what would a small platform versus a larger one, how could that, like an example for me would be like if you do an up air, it covers a certain amount versus not every option, like that's an example.
Marth up air. Smaller platforms, there are certain platforms, Marth up air, like Pokemon platforms, covers the entire platform. You can't do anything about it. But on certain platforms like Dreamline, he has to actually read or react depending on where it is. So a lot of moves are affected like that. Also for platform tech chases, that can be really variable. If the platform is wider, you have more options, and tech chases might not be consistent on platforms then.
Yeah, a wider platform potentially introduces a lot of variability. I think in Delfino's Secreted PM, those platforms are pretty wide, and they actually see a considerable amount of use. Not really. I think the problem that's happened before is like wide platforms that are high, and you don't want that. You have to be very, very careful when giving a top platform. I think that's like a general rule with stages.
I have a question about I guess for all of you guys who are way better players than I am, in terms of like, for instance, this stage, which moves both X and Y axis sort of deal. Like you said earlier, Radar, it's like certain situations where, for instance, Marth up tilt will confirm on platform at certain points, but it won't when it's at that higher, Y position. Is that like an inherently good thing to add variation to how your, B&Bs work, or how neutral is played out in that way, where situationally things don't work when they typically would have on any other stage? Like I don't know what you guys think about that.
I don't think that can be objective though. Like I don't think you could say this is always good or always bad, but some people may prefer it. Like that's kind of like saying FOD platforms. Like, are they good that they move or bad?
There's also the element of like, as the Melee community has sort of accepted, like I would say arbitrary amount of stage variants, like Wispy or Randall or I think those are Shy Guys. Those are like the three main examples that come to mind, because like everybody's like, oh, like when they're coming out, so it's fine. It's like, well, yes, but we were talking about chaotic systems, right? You have no idea. Nobody's thinking about the game like, oh man, I'm gonna hit him over at 7:30 and then I'm gonna waveland on Randall. It's like Randall happens to be there, and you can happen to use it in your combo game or your recovery, and in that way it is random. So there is an already arbitrary amount of random variants that we've seen in our current stage list.
Right.
So I wouldn't unless we want to freeze those stages, which I'm also fine with. But if we're going to continue around this like sort of random element that stages can introduce, then I would be interested to see what other stages could do with that.
Sure. Yeah. And the reason that I ask in the first place is because I think perhaps one of the arguments for people who might be against this sort of thing is they're interested in having more control over outcomes of matches. Maybe I'm reaching on that. I don't know. But having like random elements, like, as inconsequential as a platform where you maybe don't get a follow-up every so often, maybe that's enough to push people away from that sort of thing.
To be fair, I think Shy Guys are like of the three I listed, Shy Guys are 100% the worst. But
I think even that's subjective. But I think one of the things, Walt, that this reminds me of is I got a comment today where people were saying if you switch stages, it would really, really frustrate people who practice on existing stages and then have to switch. Mm-hmm. And as someone who's played a lot of Melee, I was like, I don't really think I would hear that from top players.
No, you wouldn't.
They love playing Melee. They get to play more Melee on more stages.
Not even just that. Like obviously there's some kind of like, okay, you sort of get the feel for if I jump here and then double jump, now I can waveland and it'll feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But like, number one, FOD exists. Yeah, give it a week. Like I think this is the kind of gap I feel like if you aren't playing these a lot, you start to think like, people have worked so hard to get good at these stages and it couldn't transfer over. And it's like, it could. Like it could transfer pretty easily, man. Have you played these stages? Like, so I don't know. That's something worth addressing. Do we want to give this a score? Should we move on?
I think it's a good stage.
Yeah, I think it's a good stage
it.
and it has potential.
I think it's solid. It's just again, if people start getting up in arms about random variability, then I guess we have a problem with custom stages as a whole. But I don't know.
Well, again, to me, like the counter argument to that is like if you have a problem with random variability, then we got to ban FOD. We got to get rid of Randall. Like, you can't pick and choose. I'm not saying that that's what you're saying, but like to the people who might believe that.
Ban Game and Watch. I feel you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hold on.
All right.
I do think like moving platforms do have a variability that I am okay with. Like, there's gonna be like some variance introduced by any stage, but like I personally am okay with moving platforms.
Sure.
One thing that is common to a lot of these stages that I think is also worth mentioning is a lot of them are very wide, and a lot of them have, for whatever reason, I don't know what you call like scar jumpable sides.
Yep.
Walls.
Yeah, walls. You get what I mean? Like the sides, like some will have like a slant. Yeah, walls. Okay, they're not the best wording. Never seen these things before. But they're also like you can't really scar jump on them if you tried. Like you have to kind of really hard DI in. Like they're a bit weird. So I'm not sure I love that quality for like it's kind of consistent for a lot of them. But I do like the existence of walls. I think it makes Yoshi's a really fun stage. I'm not sure every single stage they make needs that, and I'm also not sure every single stage needs to be really wide, but just something that I've noticed. And the cameras, which we haven't touched on yet.
The cameras are weird on almost all of them.
Almost everybody I've talked to about like making stages says like figuring out the camera is one of the hardest things. Like the camera in Melee in general is kind of wonky.
God, doubles would probably be a fucking nightmare then.
Why do I have to tech chase in a mag glass when someone's 2 feet away from me? I don't understand it when they're on stage.
Toph did a video on stages, and if you guys watch, he has like side-by-side comparisons where he walks to the edges of some of the stages that are the custom ones, and then like Battlefield, and you'll see that like the camera's like doesn't really show you the edge until you're like right there, you know? Whereas on Battlefield or the official stages, like the camera properly zooms out to show you the size of the stage. So for people who, again, maybe haven't tried them, that's kind of what we're describing. Like it just doesn't follow you in a way that feels normal, and you notice it almost immediately if you're used to playing a lot.
Sure. I'm going to move to the next one we got here, which is...
I definitely agree with the point there, but there's like a lot of walls. We could use less walls.
So we already mentioned this.
No, I love the walls. Give me all the walls.
Of course you would love the walls.
Give me all the walls. Dude. My recovery is gonna be the best in the world these days.
Yeah, it is.
Hell yeah, brother. I'm down.
Does the turtle's head count as a wall? That's the biggest question I have.
It does. You can infinite on it.
I know you can. I know we brought up the infinite.
Where you do the infinite.
Would you call it a wall though, or just like an infinite location?
No, because you can tech off of it like a wall. Like it's vertical.
Jeez,
in the colloquial definition of a wall in this game, yes, I would refer to it as a wall.
Sure. So Cody shook his head as soon as I swapped to this image. We already brought it up pretty earlier in the show, but
we're not competing here.
Yeah,
we're not competing.
Get it out of here.
Move on.
Get it out of here. Yeah.
In my
on
video,
stage, it is fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Go ahead, Cody.
No, you go on.
I use this as an example of anytime anyone brings this up as like custom stages are bad, look at Great Bay, I'm like, you just are not. You're like, I'm not gonna take you seriously because this is like clearly just for fun stage. For people who haven't tried it, the turtle, like in the regular stage, if I remember correctly, is like slippery. He has like different.
Yes.
I don't know what.
No, I didn't know that. That's terrible.
You dash attack and you just fly across the entire thing. It's ridiculous.
Oh god.
It's like UFO properties.
Ledges on him, so you can't grab the right or left side because he moves. Go to the next image, Walt, if you don't mind. I think I have him on the other side.
Oh, he just leaves? I haven't seen the stage at all.
Yeah.
It's like...
He moves left and right. So this is with nothing. Tingle, by the way, is there, which I have a picture of.
Okay, I was about to ask if Tingle was in it, because if
Tingle is still in it. If we go to the next image, I think I had a couple of this, just to show people like the different phases. So there's Tingle. Tingle you can climb on.
Okay.
No way.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 stage as long as Tingle's there.
God, his face.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like,
I thought he was rotated the other way when he comes up. Is that random?
I think
I don't
it's
remember seeing his
random.
face. It's random. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he shouldn't show
It's
his
random.
face.
That's a little
That's
weird.
Yeah.
uggo.
It's up close and personal. I'm not a fan.
So this stage is a 0 for me in terms of competitive viability.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
I think
but
June's given it a 0 in terms of just general
Aesthetic, too.
appearance.
Yeah, it's not-
He's just
it's
physically
questionable.
disgusted with this stage. I feel so bad.
Oh wait, although Tingle, interesting concept to play around.
Absolutely,
With. I don't.
yeah.
Yeah. A platform that disappears
Yeah,
could be played around with.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mushroom Kingdom 1.
True. Yeah.
No,
Oh,
when
yeah,
we get to that, I'll win because that's one of the more fun stages to me.
I like that stage.
So
That
for
stage's
something like
really
this
fun.
though, like if this again, like, and I think the general caveat for all of these stages is like a lot of them that don't work could work with a few small fixes. Is this something where it's like if we just made variable platforms on either side, would it be functional in any
This
way
one's
or
too
no?
far.
No.
What if you do get rid of turtle?
Yeah, get rid of
shorten
the turtle.
stage,
Keep
three
tingle,
tingles.
keep tingle. Yeah.
Three
Yes, yes,
It's
yes,
I'm down for this.
yes.
tingle.
You know what I would love if they were like, we can't do that because we just would have to add tingles and that would be the legal barrier. Just 2 extra tingles.
You
is
can
too
do that.
many.
You can add tingles because that's technically
Oh,
Nintendo
okay.
property.
All right.
That's
How
fine. You're
about-
not creating any.
Tingle.
You're not
So,
using your own assets. You're using Nintendo
FD,
assets.
but only tingles, so you can
Yeah,
destroy the
that's-
entire stage as soon
That'd
as the
be so
game
funny.
starts.
That'd be so funny. That'd be so
Yeah.
funny.
Let's just have regular stages, but add tingles. It's clearly
Yeah,
the future.
Honestly, I would be okay with that.
I'm down.
Actually.
That'd be interesting. I'd actually. There's thought there.
I mean, it's
it's an
like,
idea. It's a concept.
Dude,
We're
you just
open, right?
got
You
me
know?
an idea. I'm gonna talk to my local modder and put that in for my next tournament that I run. The turn down for Tingle event.
Oh my god. All right, let's
All right.
advance. Let's move forward. We're getting a little distracted. Turn down for tingle.
So
The
this
year
one's
is
been around for
20 PG.
like eons, right?
Yeah, this one's been around for a while. It was on 20XX, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know what the current like ceiling and blast zones are for this stage, but I think
Medium low.
medium low.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might need to play around with it slightly. I do like double plats.
Are they
But,
too
you know.
close together?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Fox can short hop one platform to the other, and I think that's just objectively like a bad thing to be able for him to be able to do. Like I think it's like too.
Yeah, it's
stupid.
like a second stage for him.
Yeah, basically.
It's also really wide. Like what I tried
Yeah.
to show off in this photo is like
It's
if you look
really
at Marth,
wide.
like look at the width of that platform.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
think
oh,
about
'cause they
how many
added
are
on-
popping.
They
Yeah.
added on the other bits of
Yeah.
the stage. I didn't
did,
see
Yeah,
that.
this is like a dummy thick
Yeah.
stage, man. Like it is.
Yeah, you need to get rid of that because I think they added those on because the blocks used to be there,
Yeah,
so they like
they-
squeezed it. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you need to. You could probably make this like Kalos, and get rid of the two edge blocks, and then put the plats outside of the stage, like Kalos Pokemon Stadium. But you might need to
How do
make the.
That is a concept. How do you feel? Because that adds so many like. Do you like when the plats are off stage? I guess we'll get to the stages that have that, but like all the
No.
waveland options and like
No.
foxes in particular, like, but that's something that I'm also thinking about. But I think let's get. Well, I don't want to derail the conversation because of what's on screen at least.
I think we haven't seen it tested that much in the PM Melee.
I think the
engine.
biggest distinction, and we can talk about it more when we get to. Is there another stage on here that has offstage plats or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I think for me the biggest distinction is if the platform's off stage, I'm not crazy about it. But if it's off stage and stationary, I can deal with it. If it's off stage and moving like Smashville, then
Wait, take
I'm
it to
not
Mushroom Kingdom.
thrilled
I guess
about
it depends on what I mean by off stage. I was more speaking to like when you have a platform and then like a platform that's kind of like half on. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah. So I
then
think in a situation
not
like
like
that,
just
if they don't move,
something
it's
off here.
probably acceptable.
That's on
but-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on it. Is what I'm talking about more. Not like, for example, not Pokemon Stadium, Mushroom Kingdom 1 has platforms that are off stage, but they operate in a very different way than like what I'm thinking of it as Fox, like invincibly wave landing on like what you can do in Yoshi's, like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, overall thoughts. Close to viability, still a long way away.
tweaks needed, I think.
Doesn't speak to me. Like, yeah, it could
Yeah.
be good with some tweaks. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. Like, it's better than FD? Yeah, but that's not saying much.
Yeah, I think it's
I'm
good
not
enough. The
super
platforms
blown away by
being
this one.
close is a big thing, though, for sure.
Yeah, and it's too
It
wide
just
for the
feels like-
platforms to be that close, anyways.
Doesn't this just feel like bad Pokemon Stadium to you
Yeah,
guys
it
when you
does.
play it? Yeah, that's my feeling too. Okay, that kind of says it all. I think. Let's move on to the next one. The goat.
This is the big
This
winner
is my,
of
this is
the
my
day.
stage.
10
I
out
love
of
this
10.
stage.
Yeah, this is the winner for me too.
I want to add this stage to the competitive playlist like now. I'm not even joking.
So just tell us why. Give us the
Small
spiel.
stage, doesn't encourage degenerate gameplay. One platform, the platform isn't too high so that people can get there. It can kind of screw over Peach and Falco sometimes. I know Falco, I've heard from Falcos don't like side platforms too much, but this stage is not going to, you can't really camp on it. You can't platform camp anyone because it's only one platform in the middle. The ledges aren't too busted for Fox, so you can't actually wall ride to a ridiculous degree because the ledges there kind of do go off. And there are no gimmicks about it. It's just a single stage platform. You can't run away either. You have to fight. You literally, it's encouraging this stage, especially if you're playing against like Sheik or something. You have to fight for center stage. If you don't have center stage, you're going to be in a terrible spot. And I think that's a good mechanic to have, especially if you can't like degenerately play for it.
So I want to use that as an example when I say like top players who play on this understand a lot of stuff about stages kind of inherently. Like Cody just gave us like a laundry list of like, all right, here's all the things like, and I'm sure if you asked him for even more thoughts, he probably could give you more. Like there are things you notice right from the start when you try a stage, and then the more you play on it, the more you're like, oh, okay, this does that. And I bet even if you saw a picture of it, you could start to say even like, okay, you can't wall ride as easily, it's smaller. So maybe I'm hitting the point too hard, but you get what I mean. Like, there's a lot of detail. June, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I kind of like the center. This is similar to Pimento Cavern in PM. It's just a center platform, and then a stage below. I think it's a good format. Ooh. I think it's pretty neutral. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's all I have.
I think it's actually going to be really good for Sheik, and I think it actually might be a Sheik counter pick, which is something that she desperately needs because the stage list is very not in her favor for damage in matchups. Because if you look at that side, look at this height of the platform, shield dropping off that platform when giving you center stage and allowing that platform to have you hold center stage is great for her.
Yeah.
Like Plup would have a field day on this stage.
It's like a King of the Hill stage, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
this might be a trigger word for some people in the Smash community, but would you say that this stage is honest?
Yes.
As honest as a stage can be, I guess.
Like I do, like the first thing that came to mind when you were giving that whole description, Cody, was that I feel like when you pick a stage like this, it truly is like the better player wins on this stage 100% of the time.
Yeah, I think I can see arguments for why Falco or Peach might not like it too much, and I definitely won't just throw this out the window. But I think as far as most stages go, where you're accurately like catering to a large cast of characters, I think it's like almost as honest as you're gonna get.
Yeah. It is definitely more neutral than like FD or Dreamland or Yoshi's, you know.
Yeah. I think my feeling with this stage when I was writing the video, this one came to mind as like when people kind of act like, how could we possibly design a balanced stage? I'm like, I'm sorry guys, like, but you make a not too wide stage, you put a platform in it, like it doesn't have to be like rocket science. And we're gonna see some more abstract and creative ideas. But if we were to start with custom stages, me being kind of like cautious, this is not that risky to me, I guess. Like it's the most straightforward. There's not too many variables. It would surprise me if we were to a year from now, if we did add it, to go, oh man, what a mistake. Like there were so many things we didn't realize, you know?
Yeah.
So
this is a very easy stage to argue for.
Yeah, me too. Definitely agree.
Like Battlefield might be more neutral. There's a good chance. I think Battlefield actually has a pretty dang neutral stage, but this is like up there for sure.
Yeah.
I will say
stage and middle and like one platform
that isn't high.
Yeah, pretty good idea. Pretty good.
Yeah, so this one's fun. It's fun to play on. It's very close to competitive viable, if not already viable. I'd probably argue it is viable. So
yeah,
10 out of 10. Just add it to the list now.
Yeah.
What's it? Turn down for Tingle is gonna have this.
This is gonna be the only legal counter pick and turn down for Tingle
in the planet. If we replace FD with this, I would actually throw a fucking party.
FD shouldn't be the
With
stage.
nobody
Uh,
being quarantined.
Just
Shouldn't
curious,
be, like, a
actually,
neutral.
if it wasn't like a 1-for-1 replacement on FD, you would have this as a starter then, right? And not a counter pick, I'm assuming. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is an extreme, like, just based on my criteria for like judging neutral stages. I think the stage is more neutral than FD. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
more
can agree with
neutral
that.
than more neutral than Yoshi's. I feel like more neutral
Yes.
than Dreamland. More neutral. Like
Yes.
one of the things I think
Stadium.
people skip. Yeah, like is
Yeah,
that
his
if you look
stadium.
at our list of
It's
stages.
basically just like like I mean, callback, like the Melee stage list isn't neutral. Like the
No, it's
things
not.
against neutral
It is
are not
not.
neutral. So
It's actually
being able
drastically
to,
Fox favored.
Yeah,
It's like
add,
Spacey and Marth favored, like badly.
yeah.
So
This
what
is
we're
an argument-
proposing
that's-
here is the newest stage list is Jungle Japes only as a starter, and then everything else is a counter
Ooh.
pick.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
That's a sick stage list.
So we both get one ban
Yeah.
still, right? So we can
Oh,
ban it.
Jungle Japes with Tangle. You gotta add a couple
Yeah.
Tangles.
Yeah, yeah,
But-
for
but
sure.
in-
for
where
sure.
Puff is right now, there should be a Tingle. I think is what I'd like to see. That reminds me because I've seen a lot of people. I know this is asking a Fox main this, but a lot of people in my comments were saying stuff like custom stages only work to buff spacies, which I don't agree with.
Boo.
It doesn't seem like you agree with that. But you're saying our current stage list is if anything favors.
I mean, sure, if
Spaces.
you add Mute City and Flatstone, it buffs.
Yeah, that's what I
spaces.
feel like.
But you don't have to add the stages that buff them.
Yeah.
Can you speak a bit to like why you feel the stages that we have right
Okay.
now are favoring spacies?
I have literally an entire video on this that's probably gonna get uploaded at some point.
Okay,
If you look
perfect.
at Spacey win rates on FD and Stadium, they're exorbitant. I know a lot of people say like, "Oh, Spacey right away, get rid of FD because of Zane." No, because that's the only time we suffer.
Mhm.
We destroy Sheik. I have like, so if you look at my record versus Falcon, I'm like around 50
Oh
to
my
40% win rate on every stage. Then I'm 15-4 in FD.
FT is so,
That's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's actually ridiculous. And then the same thing happens on Stadium with like Sheik, Puff, and on FD. If I play against Yoshi, if I play against Samus, Sheik, Puff,
I was about to say
Falcon,
Samus.
Falco,
It's
it's
so
broken.
long.
I just
Yeah.
win.
FD is an extremely polarizing stage. I wish somebody made a video about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
only
wonder if
Well
someone
reasoned, yeah.
in this call has made a video on why FD is a garbagely designed stage, because it is.
Yeah.
And then Stadium is not much better. And then even the
Yeah.
big stages like Dreamland is a big stage, but it's so good for Fox for mobility. Like, how do you catch him on that stage? As
Yeah,
Pete,
I
like,
think-
have fun catching me.
And then
This kinda goes back-
so long on that Greenland.
Yeah.
To that point I was talking before about, I think people don't realize that like Fox is not good because of FD or Dreamland or something. Like Fox is good because he can run on Dreamland he
Thanks,
can
Sean.
run so fast and camp on Dreamland. On FD he has like chain grabs and crazy punish game. Like Fox is good because he's good. And so if you make
He has a
stages
lot
like
of things.
yeah, like it's like if anything, it's more we're worrying about sort of a Peach or someone who is actually weaker that we don't want to enhance that weakness when they're already weak. Like I'm not worried about making Fox bad by accident or too strong. Like I feel like he's viable, yeah, in any rule set. Like
Yeah.
and it's crazy to say otherwise.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I do wish
let's
that
move on.
someone made a video about FD. It sucks that you can't get around to that, June. It looks like someone beat you to
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah,
really.
really.
I'll get him
All
next
right.
time.
And June, for unironically, June's video on FD is very good and basically tells you why the stages are garbage, so go watch it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's good.
all right, this is
Okay.
the other one
Mushroom
you
Kingdom.
liked, right, Cody?
I think the stage is super fun.
Yeah,
Did
did-
you
I,
ban
this?
I,
Did you
I
unban
just
it
do.
now?
It looks fun. I have no like. Yeah, I'm just gonna acknowledge that I have no like way to frame this stage. I'm like,
I looked at it at
what is
first and I
this?
was like, this looks so stupid. I would never want to play on this. And I started playing on it and I was like, wait a second. These platforms are kind of dope. Wait, this is kind of dope. I like this.
I do like the idea a lot. I
Have you
wonder.
not played on them either, June?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god.
I do have
which
problems
is
with the
like-
I do have problems with the stage, but the main gimmick or the main theme, if you want to call it, whichever word you want to use, I think is actually really interesting, and I actually
Mhm.
would like to see
Yeah.
it implemented in some way.
How does it? I haven't seen gameplay on this, so how exactly does it work for, I guess, neutral and extending combos and what have
Do you want to just? We could just show Cody's screen again if you're down, because I think like if you guys
Fuck, I
haven't
deleted
seen
the
this,
source.
oh, it,
Alright,
it
go
would
ahead, no, it's
probably be
fine.
good.
You want me
Basically,
to
like
you want to just do it?
yeah, I think we should just do it. So
Sure.
the main thing that happens, we're gonna show it as well, but when you go on one of those platforms, they start to descend and eventually they just fall, like they do in the game. And so the interesting dynamic for me when I was playing on these is at first it seems kind of like gimmicky, but do you remember when they did the summit bracket where it was like swag bracket or whatever, and everyone picked Yoshi's because Yoshi's is like clearly the stage that has like the most opportunity for swaggy moments? Well, this stage I think actually trumps that with how weird the platforms are. Like, it's sweet.
So those platforms disappear, they come back up, and when one raises, goes down, the other one raises.
Do you know? I would love another platform here, just like a center plat.
Yeah.
Like center plat, and maybe even with the same mechanics that like the falling down.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be super interesting.
Yeah.
This is the biggest problem with this stage. Watch this: 1 dash, 2 dashes. I'm off stage.
Yeah, that is.
So Marth covers everything.
It needs to be way bigger. They went the opposite way with everything.
Yeah, all the others, the stages are huge.
And then this one is like a Marth dash dance. Like the whole thing is just like, it's way too small. But the actual platforms are, for me at least, super, super fun. Like I think they actually would create the most unique moments. This would be harder to balance because it's more different. Like you compare this to Jungle Japes, but I don't know. I love it. I think it's really fun.
What about how are the blast zones for this?
Cody could probably demonstrate right now. Like, yeah.
Oh,
so actually, that's huge.
They're wide. That's why
the stage is.
So the stage is really small and they have huge blast zones. That's really weird.
Well, I actually think that someone in my chat pointed this out. This is a way to make floaties better, I think, and I think they are correct. Have a small stage with big blast zones.
Sure.
Yeah. No, small stages that are too small will like floaties just die instantly.
Like,
so
it's like interesting. Like if somebody gets like knocked down on tech here, and they literally cannot just not tech because then it falls down and they just die. So like,
do the platforms still fall off like they do in original MK1?
Yeah.
So like,
oh, nice. Oh my god, dude! Imagine the setups with that.
Yeah, exactly.
You taunt on the falling platform and then just recover back.
Even like over here, like if I hit someone all the way on the other side of the stage, I could literally jump onto this platform because it's closer to take it away so they can't recover.
Yeah,
and then they
so
go straight over here. There's so many things you could do on this stage, and like if you want to talk about like edge cancels and stuff like that, like you can run off one way, shorten the other. This is a box specific thing, obviously.
Dude, you could also like there's so many unique situations where like if the Marth's recovering from like the right side, I could run to the left platform to raise the right platform up so that he can't recover to that either. Like that's so sick.
That stuff happens. Yeah. Like and if you watch, like you should watch some of the players like Cody's stream, for example, and watch some of the interactions that come from it. Like Cody, I thought the stage originally you had banned. Did you unban it then, or?
Because I looked at it first and I'm like, I don't like all stage platforms. This is dumb. And then I played and I'm like, this is actually kind of dope. I actually kind of like this.
I'm glad you changed your mind because this was one that I was like, I'm gonna push Cody a little bit on this.
Well, it's just an example of like why first glances aren't everything. Like, there's certain things like I didn't say like it was objectively like couldn't be competitive viable, but there's certain things where you look at it and you're like, I think that's really stupid. Then you play on it, you test it, and you're like, oh wait, I actually like this. This is cool.
I want to see how puff camping works on this stage. That is the one thing that may burst the bubble on this.
Puff just takes platforms away for the whole game.
Yeah, she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to be on the platform for that long because she just stays in the air.
Yeah,
and then you can't catch her because you go on the platform and you go down.
And you go down. That's so great. Oh my gosh.
The thing is, she doesn't have that much space between the blast zone and the platform release. So
she has a lot of space because the blast zones are expanded.
I guess. Yeah, I guess
that is the one abusable stradugy that came out.
I think because the blast zones are so big, you get like edge guards are just so strong.
Yeah,
dude, I hate it.
I guess the main problem people have with offstage plats is that like some floatier characters camp them, but we haven't seen like the meta hasn't developed enough to see the counterplay. So I'd be interested to see what they would do on the stage.
Yeah, regardless. I think we just that's why again everyone check out Cody's tournament because I think we're gonna see some examples of stuff. It'll just be a bit more time to look at it. But
exclamation point tournament in my chat.
Yeah. But
sure.
I really liked this one. There were a lot of moments where it was like where you get pulled down from the bottom platform, and then you could wall jump and then like try to edge guard them from really weird situations. It is freaking fun. Like I like this one a lot. On the fun factor, this is the most fun stage.
Yeah, I would have to agree, even though I've never played them. There's just so many options for edge guards now. It's not just
It's
limited to
fun.
like jump off, do something. You can like, it's
Yeah.
it's really cool to think about.
But just make it at least a square bigger. Like they even have a measurement system built into the stage where it's 5 squares. I want to see it be at least 6 squares, maybe 7.
I mean,
like,
yeah, it looks
like,
cool and all,
probably
but
better.
if the platforms aren't tingle,
Whoa,
so I don't know
that's
if I can
Yeah,
give this
no,
a 10.
we need to add like 1 or 2 tingles, and then the stage is fine. So.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Mushroom Kingdom 2. Not
Is that a
nearly as
moving
good.
platform on the side too?
They
So-
come out from the sides, yeah, and then they
I
fall
try to
down.
show this in the
Whoa.
pictures. Basically, the stage starts off, it's just FD, and then on the right and left, these little things like kind of fall down. So they
Mhm.
they are there for a bit, they hang on the edge, and then they kind of fall
Oh,
down.
and the
So I didn't
carpet's there
actually show-
too. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
there's a
carpet.
carpet.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I could see the carpet kind of playing a similar role to the platform
camping.
in Grant carpet
Yeah.
camping in
Yeah.
Green Hill Zone, aka non-existent.
Yeah.
And those platforms don't look like they play a huge. They could randomly save somebody. I guess you'd have to know the timing. But yeah,
This
this
sucks
just
to
looks.
me.
Yeah, I
Are
wouldn't
they
wanna
the
play on-
platforms
I'm
on a
happy
timer
you're
or are they
right.
random?
They're random, I think. I could be wrong.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
I'm happy you said that because when I looked at the stage in my tier list, I literally called it boring, interesting, gimmicky FD. Boring, uninteresting,
It-
gimmicky FD.
It's already FD. You're basing off a stage that has so many problems, and then instead of
Yeah.
adding stuff, you're like, what if we somehow made FD work?
Honestly,
Yeah, that's kind of how
would
it
the
is.
stage, just curious,
I don't
would
like
the
it at all.
stage be better if the
Yeah.
side plats and carpet were on a timer, like Randall, then? Because I feel like random makes it like really
Like
hard. to
marginally
manage.
Yeah.
better. Like
No, yeah,
maybe
I don't
Not
think
by
it deals
much.
with the
yes,
core
it would
issue.
be by
Yeah.
a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
but like
for
that
sure.
doesn't mean it's good
Yeah.
now.
No, I don't think it salvages it, but like just anything.
It's funny how. No, go ahead.
Go on.
I was gonna say like it's funny how just if you compare the two side by side, like being able to control that platform and having it kind of go down with your weight in Mushroom Kingdom 1,
Yeah.
then this one, which is just like, hey, we go down and then back up, like they're so different, and one is so much more fun because it's player interaction.
What if you just got rid of that? This is just off the top of my head, and I haven't thought about it, so it might be bad. You get rid of that
Huh.
centerpiece.
Yeah.
It's just 2 blocks.
That's a platform too, right? Because I saw Albert in chat asked if you can fall through that.
No, you
middle
cannot.
plat.
You cannot shield drop through the middle part.
Okay.
No,
It-
yeah,
that-
it's not
that
a
is-
platform.
That
is
actually
four.
does matter a little bit, I think.
Yeah. So just having 2 green blocks, that would be something. I don't know if it's good.
It's
It sounds
a
really
concept.
Yeah.
Just
it's a
definitely
FD,
not
two
bad.
enter, one leaves. It's like
There's,
a
there's 2
concept.
FDs.
Email to
Leave one of them.
gmail.com.
that should be the stage list, right? You have FD on one and then FD but twice, and it's just 2 of them. It's like
I know.
I would try it. I'm not against it. I would
Yeah.
at least give it a shot. I don't think it would be good, but I would try it.
Huh.
I know
Stage
Amber
modders?
Sinister had a tweet about this, and it was
Yeah.
something like, where is it? I'm trying to find it. Smash Twitter, yo, these new stages are fire. The stages FD City, FD Bay.
Oh, that's Abby, right?
FD
Yeah.
Cruise, yeah. And this is definitely in that FD category of like,
Yeah.
okay, it's just FD, like, cool. It has a platform on the side and a carpet.
It's uninteresting to me. It's uninspired.
Yeah.
People are saying plat in the middle too. Plat in the middle could work.
I thought
So-
about that.
What if the platform in the middle went up? Like, what
Yeah,
if
yeah,
that-
That's what we're
yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe. I would try it. I've
would try
never
it.
seen anything
Yeah.
with wall jump in the middle of the stage. That'd be kind of interesting. I'd be down to try it.
Yeah.
Just make it so that it's actually a platform and not a wall, so you can actually like fall through the platform.
Yeah. Do cool shield drop stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, off
I'd be
stage
down.
shield drop. Ooh.
You could shield drop to
Like
grab
wall.
ledge, like in the center stage, and then ledge dash from center stage. Oh wait, Fox.
Oh no!
Fox is
Yeah,
busted.
Fox is never.
Alright, sorry.
Fox has an
Delete,
invincible.
delete,
I
delete,
thought
delete,
about
delete.
that for
Yeah,
2
yeah.
seconds. I'm like, wait
Like,
a second.
yeah, you can let.
What have I done?
Oh no!
That's not-
Wait, yeah, maybe that's
the
not
person who
that's
makes
not
the
right.
stage just face palming like
Yeah,
a
you
glass
can
of
let
whiskey
that-
spilled over on their
As we
table,
speak,
and it's
they're like,
Someone in chat already said it would be Hax's favorite stage.
oh god, the hack stage.
Oh.
That's
Never
hilarious.
mind, take it back.
Yeah.
they watch one degenerate set like that, and they're just like, "It's over for me. My career
Maybe
as a
like
stage
you
modder."
can't grab ledge in the middle. Maybe if you can't grab ledge.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's one way. So you can only do it, but you can also camp one side and then like do an invincible approach on the other.
Yeah, I like it.
On one
I
side,
think
I
I like.
see that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and you have plat. You can like shield drop aerial.
You cannot grab ledge from 4 sides on the stage though. That is undoubtedly the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as it is
Jeez.
now, is garbage in my opinion. Like it's it's not good. Yeah. No more FDs, please. On to the next one.
Mute City.
One of the most creative ones, I'd say, but we're not creative. One of the more
I
like
can't really
if
see
only
it
this
that
was
well.
work.
So this is a 4-platform stage then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is kind of potentially a problematic quad plat layout.
Yes,
We talked a bit about like how hard it is to get a good quad plat layout because of how easily they're abused. This one, it could be abused very easily by Fox running away, Falcon running away.
Can I show you guys how it's even more abusable by Fox? Because things you wouldn't know unless you tried it. Let me show you. Can I show you guys
I'm
things,
down,
please?
yeah. I love the Cody demos in this.
Let's see it.
No, these especially. The stage is hysterical. Maybe it was an accident, but I feel like these platforms literally had to be designed by someone who played Fox. So let me show you a few things. I'm gonna make it go from like best to worst, like in terms of, like not as bad like Apple. So first off, who thought this was a good idea?
Oh god, yeah.
Keep in mind, this is you're streaming from Discord to me, so it's gonna be like a slideshow, but I think the point still gets across.
And now the other part about this, every single Fox aerial auto cancel aerial interrupt onto the platform.
Oh god.
So I can do up air crouch, I can do a laser crouch, and I could do this. I could just Shyland shine onto the platform despite never practicing this in my life.
What?
This is a good example of how platform heights.
That's insane.
I could short hop. I could just giant shine short hop nair shield pressure someone on the platform.
Yeah. I see Adam in the chat is asking what if there weren't side plats? Like how would that be? Like if it were just the two in the middle.
That was what I was thinking too, yeah.
Recover. Like how do you edge guard this?
The mix-ups on side B are ridiculous. Like it just gives them
so
much harder to edge guard. Like that was the first thing I noticed as a Falco player, as I was like, this is really good.
Oh, you noticed it as a Falco player? I'm noticing it as a Mario player where I can just pick one.
Is your option coverage is going to be a lot more challenging to figure out, even as like Marth or someone who has good ways to cover recovery.
2 middle plats is I think I've seen it as a concept in like either Rivals or PM or maybe even Icons. I forget. I think there's a reason that I don't like 2 middle plats, but I can't remember right now.
The main plat is really big.
Oh shoot!
That's the one thing, is like the middle one is also very, very long. Like speaking about option coverage on platforms, that one's very. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but it's very noticeable how a platform that's like, you can see that this for scale, like Sheik and Falcon, if she were to up throw there, not that she really would, you can see there's the tech options are really wide, and so in that sense it's kind of an interesting dynamic. But this is one that I think is cool to watch if people don't go degen, but I think it will eventually devolve into just camping.
Could be fun.
Very fun. Slightly longer, and you move the platforms in a little bit.
Yeah.
And you move that middle platform. Maybe it could work. I'm not.
If you move the plats in on the stage,
make it all a little thinner.
It's the same platform layout as one of the transformations in Delfino's Secret.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting. I think that could work. But as it stands now, Peach just gets absolutely trolled. She can't do anything.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Someone chat pointed out, you want a Falcon counter pick? Falcons would love this stage.
Oh my god! Holy crap!
Falcon would have a field day here. Falcon and Fox City.
Upbeat a plat, ledge cancel up plat.
Yep. Oh yeah. His recovery gets a lot better on this stage. That's why I was playing Falcon on this, and I was like, damn, there's a lot of even just the edge cancels on up B. It's
Yeah, it's good.
But it's cool. It's cool. This is one that's it's not at all close to viable, but it's cool.
Yeah, definitely a higher fun score than viable.
It's really fun to play on. It is super fun to play friendlies on. until you play against Fiction and he starts camping you out on it because he thinks it's funny. Then it
Yeah.
then it goes to 0.
That's an easy way to test how broken a stage is.
That Fiction side.
Fiction is like the litmus test for if a stage is gonna work or not. It's like
Oh my god.
That's funny. I think we're good to move to the next one.
Yeah.
all right, so this is what we kind of talked about before with like slightly offset platforms. Do we want to kind of expand on that a little bit?
I haven't seen it tested enough, but I could.
It's broken for Spacies and Marth.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like the middle is like FD, and then the recoveries for the side platforms are really in my experience.
If you're playing against Marth and you tech to the left side of that platform and he F smashes you, you're done. If you try to slide off on the left side of the platform, you're off stage, and you have to use your double jump.
Are the blast zones small on this?
The side ones are I'd say medium small, and I think the top is
Higher than I think. I feel like
is
it was like higher than you'd think it would be, but I can't remember.
might be medium. I don't remember. I can't.
Would the stage work better as a WarioWare without the 2 extra top platforms? Maybe if we raise the platforms up a little bit more, so you can't get tipper shenanigans like that. I don't know.
Not even because of like Marth bias. I think that'd be an type of stage to try out.
Yeah.
So what are you saying? You're saying
like a two platform stage where the platforms are not offset, because that seems to be an issue as well. It essentially just WarioWare without the uppermost platforms.
Yeah, so rather than Stadium, which has the platforms a bit inwards, they're still on the edges.
Yeah.
And there's a middle space.
I think it'd be interesting.
And then you make the center smaller, or is it like wide center?
I think you'd have to, right? Like,
yeah.
Isn't that still just kind of like Stadium, but with invincible ledge dashes on the side? Like,
there could be problems with that for sure.
Well, depending on how long the platforms are, I actually think this is why I said it's not objective, and I could be completely wrong. So,
and I also don't think Stadium's like a gold standard. Like Stadium has a lot of flaws.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, no tingle.
I think having 2 super wide platforms on a stage like that actually could make for a really interesting dynamic, especially depending on how the height of them works. But I think that for this specific instance, I have a feeling it wouldn't play anything like the Stadium, actually. I think it would play completely differently.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, as it is right now, it's cool. Again, it's another one with the scar jumping ability. Also kind of... Which, I say scar jumping, but another thing that kind of Cody touched on that is quite important is like it's also way easier to wall tech if you're up being, and it kind of gives you options there. So it's not just scar jumps. There's other aspects to the ledges.
Right.
Recoveries become so much better. Like spacey recoveries, chic recovery, anybody with a wall jump, even Mario. Like
that's right.
Yeah. Not just Mario though. Fun fact.
Custom stages are my moment, man. Gotta enter Cody's tournament. I've been secretly training for this for years.
Interesting. Well, someone in my chat asked a question that I actually think would be cool to touch on. Asymmetrical stages. We can get to that later.
Sure. Are there any in this bin that we have?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Besides Terminal Bay, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Yeah, I think you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is okay,
cool.
But it's not.
Yeah.
Do we want to touch on asymmetrical after these stages?
I think so.
Sure.
I think we go through them.
I think questions are at the end that I wrote down.
We'll leave all the questions for.
All right, so this one is just a big old wall in the middle, right?
No, it's not a wall. It's
So notice Falco's on screen here, by the way. That's the first thing I tried to highlight.
This
Can you-
stage
can you
is
see him?
No
Can you
shot,
see him?
really?
Okay,
Yeah,
where's Waldo? But for Falco, where is he, man? Take a guess. You can see there's a little hint.
So he's dead?
No. Look
I know he's in the middle. Yeah, it's like,
You see the two?
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know why they did that.
Not great.
There's interesting lore behind who made the stage.
Oh, really?
I think there's a lot to get into. There's the platforms that don't really do much on the sides. There's the thing that actively obstructs your vision in the middle. Slants on the sides, they kind of just drop off. Like it's not a. I think the Yoshi slant is it's like a pretty good example of like how a slant could still like show some interesting interactions. Like down tilts become important in edge guards, and like certain ledge dash options become available. Like, I don't know how these slants affect the game. I just think that it's bad. However they affect
bad. Like, you can as Fox, like, it can mess with your shines. So
they affect slide offs too, right?
Yeah. I know
so much stuff,
that's like shine stuff specifically gets really messed up by shine or slant. Like if a Fox shines like Falcon or something, any character that can wave shine on a slant, it's like the aerial shine thing where they hit ground and then they can act immediately.
By the way, iBDW was
No. Say it. Okay. Okay. Who has not looked at chat in the last like 20 seconds? Don't look at chat.
Well, it's kind of my job too, so it's only really June, I think. It's like,
3 guesses to who designed the stage. It's a Fox player. 3 guesses.
I wouldn't have guessed this for the record.
Wait,
if that gives you
give me
any.
one
names on the credits.
They're retired.
They're retired. Fox player who's retired. What region?
Can't tell you.
Dang it.
They're notable.
Very
Eggs
notable.
Money. J-Man.
More recent.
Silent Wolf?
Nope. One more for the fans.
That would be cool though.
Yeah, one more for the fans.
More recent than that.
More recent than Silent Wolf?
Yeah. A lot of personality.
Very good.
Oh, Crush.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He actually made this?
Okay.
He was like 12.
Context,
I think
Okay.
right all the way back to the Smashboards thread where it was posted in like 2012 or something, and it was Crook who designed it.
Wow.
Respect,
so
dude.
He made. Well, this does look like a stage designed by a 12-year-old, so.
Oh my god.
Makes sense.
I'm just having like
2011.
I'm getting like Vietnam War flashbacks thinking about like just a Hungry Box crouching in the middle. And you just play like sharks and minnows on like what am I gonna like, come in with like
Zane's dash dancing and you can't see him.
Yeah.
Like Sheik, Marth, Puff, like most of them are invisible if you go in that middle area. It's something else. I don't think there's a lot positive to talk about this stage. It's also ridiculously wide if you can't tell. Like it's insanely long.
Yeah.
So,
bad stage.
Yeah.
Bad stage. Move on.
Hey man.
Shout outs to Crush.
He was 12 years old, man. Come on.
If a 12-year-old sucks, I'm gonna 12 the 12.
No mercy.
No mercy.
Cobra Kai style. Jeez.
I think
all right.
This is a good example though of like this stage was designed 9 years ago, and I think some people think that like these were all created like a week ago or some shit, or like 3 weeks ago. It's like no. Like these are old stages people putting together.
So this is Battlefield with walls, kind of like.
I know it's
a
Yoshi.
little bit
It's more
closer
like
though, yeah.
Platforms are quite a bit wider.
Squished.
Yoshi's
But you can still like pineapple though, like Dreamland.
Yeah, you can.
Oh yeah.
Peach can float underneath.
This is what's it called? The Rainbow Cruise.
Yeah.
For people who aren't aware.
Yeah. I'd be down.
Platforms
I don't
are
think
really
it's
close
as,
though.
Yeah. So something I'm not like a huge fan of is just having like a million triplats.
Yeah.
I agree.
So like this stage is fun to play around with, but I think it's a worse stage than Battlefield and potentially a worse stage than Yoshi's. I haven't seen enough play on it. So it's like, do we want a third triplat?
I've tested it a decent amount. The camera's terrible. It's actually like objective.
It is so bad.
Yeah, the cameras are hard on all the.
In terms of stage play, it's literally Punish Game the stage.
Ooh.
It is Punish Game the stage. It accomplishes actually maybe better than Yoshi's. I don't know how they accomplish like the platform heighten with, but for Punish Game, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Do you think that's a good thing?
Depends what you're trying to accomplish.
Sure.
Can be.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on what you're trying to do. Like, are you trying to? Do you want a Punish Game stage in your stageless? Do you not want a stage that doesn't have Shy Guys? Would you rather this replace Yoshi's? Could be valid.
Mm-hmm.
I probably wouldn't, but because I don't believe in getting rid of stages that we can use. And so I probably wouldn't add this just because we already have too many stages that function like it. But if we started stageless from scratch and we had no attachment previously to any other stages, I'd probably add it as the combo stage triplat. Yeah.
Cool.
I think I feel similarly. Like.
Yeah, basically. That I think this is the kind of stage that like, if we're trying to advocate for adding custom stages, there is an argument that because it's a triplat stage that like, oh, this is something we know, so we could be more likely to balance it, but I think it moves too further in this direction of like it's just really kind of similar to what we already have. So if we're going to add custom stages, why would we add a stage that's like similar enough? Like that's why Jungle Japes fits better. Is it's like it's not too crazy, but it's different. So
Sure.
but I like this one well enough. It's still fun to play on. Camera is bad though. Really, really, really bad. It's one of the worst ones.
Worse than you think if you actually play on
That's
it.
stuff that needs to get ironed out though over time, right?
You can hit the edge and you'll be like, "Oh my god, it's okay, it's over." Like we're off stage now, so it's bad. Yeah, it was closer.
It's literally
That's just tiny FD.
Okay, yeah. All right, Skip.
walls?
Yeah, this one is so bad.
We've already discussed.
We discussed FD enough. Just move on. That's
Yeah, it's so bad. I think that might be the last one actually.
Yeah, I think
yo,
so.
PMD, thank you for rating. How's it going?
Oh, thanks, BP.
Hey, PP.
Oh.
Thank you.
I think that is it. So maybe we'll give a bit more time to this for people who are just popping in.
Yeah,
Basically,
for sure.
we were just going through stage evaluations. That stage is basically small FD. We're not a huge fan of adding more FD stages. I think it would be a good time to hit some questions. I know Cody has been kind of slowly gathering the good ones. Yeah, 3.
Before we do
have
that, I have a question about stages that I want to bring to you guys. And this is kind of more on the, because I know we wanted to talk about it later in the show in terms of like the legalese with Nintendo and what is and what isn't okay. Cody, I know you had a little bit of information on that as well.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit more on that first?
Yeah, so I'm not, obviously, I could be wrong, and so I don't want to give misinformation, so take everything that I think is great.
Cody's not a lawyer.
I do not put me as the authority on this. From what I understand and what I've been told and nothing else, custom stages are a gray area because there's a difference between modifying to add your own code and using existing code that's already proprietary to Nintendo within their own game. And so the thing about adding like WarioWare is you're using code that's not already in the game, and that might be kind of legally like turning from a gray area to, yeah, this is illegal, you can't do this anymore. And so a lot of what we talked about is, so I had this conversation on my stream where, well, we wanted to add Warrior, and so we looked at other stages that we could use the already existing assets to become, or to
functionally
make
the same.
Yeah, functionally the same. So you have to use assets that already exist within the game, to my knowledge. Please do not authority on this.
Based on the situation that played out earlier this year, like that may be true, but the other side is Nintendo can choose to shut down something.
Yeah, so that's
arbitrarily. Like
they can always take away stream rights, right?
Yeah.
So
they own they have final say on the copyright, like till death. Like and if they decide that hey they don't like the way Melee is played, they can end it, and that could be for something like Slippy or UCF or mod stages.
Well, I think
but I do think there is a value in not awakening the sleeping giant, so to speak.
Yeah,
right.
I think there's a difference between saying they have like final say on all copyright though. Like that's not, I think, totally accurate to say like they have a final say for sure. Like from what I've seen from lawyers analyzing this and stuff is for sure they control broadcast rights. But as for like fan mods of games and stuff and emulators and that kind of stuff, it's a little more legally gray.
Very challenging
they have a huge budget to just bully you anyways.
It's a bunch of weird things because like international law is different. Like the way Japan emulation is not the same as the way the Streets emulation, and they're domiciled in Japan. But then Nintendo of America is. I don't know how it plays out, but it's a bizarre series of interactions that none of us really understand.
Yeah, I mean, I have some limited experience with patent law just from some like engineering design that I've done in the past, but like in my experience with that, it's kind of like they can do whatever they want because the difference between like ownership and like copyright for this versus something like music, for instance, is like video game IP just like never enters public domain from as far as I'm aware, unless like the IP owner just willingly does that. And then if we can ever get to public domain because this game's fucking 20 years old, then yeah, like maybe we'll be in better shape. But right now it's kind of like really challenging to say.
Let's not talk about IP law. I'm not.
Just to close it out, it is worth mentioning that like within stuff, and again, I'm not a lawyer either, but like I know for my work, we've had to work on trademark stuff, and trademark law, for example, is like very, very, very different from copyright.
Yeah.
and they might sound similar, but like trademarks, for example, have to be defended. So if you trademark something, like if I trademark Micro Melee and then some guy makes a Micro Melee shirt, I have to stop him from selling that because it's like it weakens my trademark. That's not true for copyright. And so the reason why I know that working in advertising is sometimes they'll be like, hey, we want to trademark this thing, and we'll have like a legal team brief us in on how to do that. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not, again, I don't want to segue into a big long thing, but there are differences between patent law, trademarks, and copyright that are.
I think the only reason I really bring it up is I think that it's kind of like a missed opportunity almost, because like June said, not wanting to awaken the sleeping giant and everything. Like, even though these are, maybe within the gray area, for instance, because we're using predetermined assets by the company, everything like that, optically, it still would be considered a mod to most people, which they are. It's just like, I don't know where we stand in that, if that's okay or not. And then the missed opportunity side of it all is like, there's so much we can do. Like the same thing when streamers were using custom skins for their sponsors and stuff like that. We could have events that have the tournament logos on the Pokeball instead of Pokemon Stadium or whatever. I know PM did that for many events. And there's a lot of just like aesthetically pleasing things that can be done, which would probably just immediately get us like put into a dumpster fire if we tried it. So I don't know if it's even worth it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I love mods, and I think IP law is really dumb. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, never mind.
I mean, I think like ultimately, there's going to be arguments for both sides. I don't think any of us are going to be like, no, it's fine, Nintendo. They won't do anything. Like, that would be dumb. It's just, I think the counter argument to this, to play devil's advocate, is that like we are playing on Frozen Stadium, and we are playing on with UCF, which clearly Nintendo did not want us to do, but we're not going to suddenly undo. Many events, Smash and Splash, I think, was one that ran PM. Like, there are some precedents set where we do things that Nintendo doesn't want us to do. So that doesn't mean that people are wrong for saying, yo, this is going to piss off Nintendo. You're right. But I just want to say that, like, to clarify, it's not like we're not doing some stuff already that doesn't piss off Nintendo.
Exactly.
So
that's the biggest argument, I think, standing between like custom stages and competitive viability. And it's like, it's not one that we can really argue, right? Because it's just the law. But
based on all the big house stuff that's like happened this year, I'm very pro like testing out mods and customs right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel we should be pushing it a bit, but also like I don't want to just be like, fuck you guys.
In that rebellious phase.
We're not tweeting at them every day anymore. We're like, maybe we realize we're the weaker ones here.
But I just wanted to bring that up before we move to questions, because I know it was something that we pushed for later on in the show once we kind of discussed, viability on stages, why mini FD is disgusting, and why Tingle should be a part of literally all of these stages. So I think with that, we can kind of go to some of the questions. Cody, if you wanted to start us off with some of the ones you've been keeping track of, and I know Radar and I have a couple from the hashtag, so we can just kind of see, and open the floor to chat as well. If you guys have questions and we have time, we'll take whatever we can get from now.
We wound up going over almost all, and the three that I didn't see, I think that the answer to this for a top player is obvious, but it's not going to be obvious to anyone else. The first one is regarding Stat Zone. It's going to be no, I actually am including you in that, June. Thank you. Is enforcing an interacting rule, where it's like, oh, can't you force them to interact? And it's like, yeah, that seems like this obvious thing that someone who's a casual player or a low-level competitor would say. Yeah. That does not work at all. There's no good metric that you can use to define interacting that is going to be A, fair, B, promote good gameplay, and C, not screw over someone horrendously. It is way easier to not have a stage that encourages it than it is to try to force people through some kind of arbitrary means to play a certain way.
I think adding on to what Cody said, like we do have some metrics in place for enforcing interaction, right? We have a ledge grab limit, like that's why people want like ledge grab limits. But the problem with air camping and like the camping that would happen on flat zone, it's like how do you how do you how do you define that? Like, is it airtime? Is it like how many seconds before you guys hit each other? Is it's very hard to define.
And if it's airtime, dude, I full hop a lot. Like, I know it's me, but I full hop a lot.
I'm timing out Cody.
I'm gonna break the limit every single time just because
I was about to say, dude, Cody was full hopping into the call today. That's why we were running a little bit behind on schedule. But
hey, whoa, calm it down there.
Yeah, so definitely a good point that like there's just gonna it's not as easy to just draw like what people think. It kind of segues into sort of an argument that I think, again, I don't want to be like gatekeepy, but some of these things you have to try and like play the game a bit to kind of understand that if you just say like you got to force people to interact, it's like define interaction, man. Like, how is lasering interacting or is it not interacting? Because like that, do you know what I mean? Like, there's all these things that
I don't even think gatekeeping is like a bad thing in that sense either, right? Because it's like if players are already going through like the quote unquote 10 billion hurdles there are to click one gecko code on to turn on custom stages, then they should at least have an enjoyable competitive experience, I think.
No, for sure.
And some people are objectively more qualified to comment on that than others. You don't have to be a great player to comment on it. You just have to be informed. Like, I would trust, in a lot of situations, I would trust Ambi Sinister's opinion, and nobody would call him a top player. But there are plenty of things that I would take his opinion as legitimate and be like, yes, you are an informed individual. I will respect your opinion, even if I disagree.
You kind of need a high IQ to
to be honest.
It's okay. Yeah.
I was waiting for who was going to make that joke.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
I just needed to take it.
Low-hanging
to be
fruit.
fair, right? To be fair.
Low-hanging fruit.
June, you have fucking zingers all night, man.
Oh, thank you. I'm a funny guy.
All right, so that's the first one. The second one was small stage with big blast zone. June, I'm sure something like this exists in PM, so you could probably talk about it.
Wait, say that again?
Small stage with big blast zones for Float East.
That that one we looked at earlier has it.
Yeah.
Right. So essentially, like, blast zones and ceilings are a way to buff characters that like die off the top or die off the side easier. And since floaties can survive very long time, usually off the side, I think they die off the top pretty easily. A stage with bigger blast zones on the side gives them more opportunity to recover. And since floaties have like more tendency to, like, when they go off the side, they don't die as easily, and plus they have better recoveries. Those two alone that just buff floaties a lot.
Yeah, and stuff, we don't really have anything that exists like that. People say, oh, Dreamland is the floaty counterpick, but it's really not. And if you look at statistically, it actually isn't. Because despite having Peach live to 200 with some regularity and Puff living to ridiculous percents, they also have a really hard time catching faster characters on that stage, just the way it's built. And so that's where the smaller stages come into play, where it would actually be a very genuinely good floaty stage. Is that necessarily healthy or good? That's to be determined, but that is undoubtedly one thing that Melee does not have that could help out floaties a lot, especially in a stage list that would favor Spaceys.
Yeah, nobody's gonna argue that like the meta right now is definitely Spacey's favorite. Like,
yeah, 100%.
And stage has something to do with that.
Yeah. Okay, and I guess the last thing, which I have no experience with in any capacity, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts, is asymmetrical stages. I've never even played on one. I guess Delphino's technically sometimes, but I've never played on one.
Yeah, there was Skyloft in PM, and
I can say there's a handful of rival stages as well, if I recall correctly, in my time playing that semi-competitively. Yeah. I never saw them as a huge issue, though.
I think the problem ended up being with Skyloft. It's just like you ended up camping. There was another win condition. It was camping this side of the stage with advantage.
Okay.
I forget which side it was. Was it the higher side?
I think it's an interesting concept. I think done right, anything done right, but I think like pretty leniently done right, an asymmetrical stage could be dope. I have nothing against it. I've never played on one, but I also nothing jumps out at me. It's like depending on the parameters, I think it could be really interesting. I actually kind of want to see one.
Yeah,
I think one thing that I think about is neutral starts. Like, how do you have a true neutral start on a stage that is asymmetrical?
Yeah,
is the only thing that pops up to me. But it not necessarily going to be something that actually like just auto means you have an advantage or disadvantage. I'm just saying that pops up in my head.
Fine, it's after neutral. Sorry, go on, June.
Asymmetrical platforms is something we've already played around with. I guess this is like more asymmetrical, like stage, like the stage part itself.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like I can't articulate why Skyloft ended up getting phased out of competitive play at PM, but I think there was a reason.
One thought I have, because it's reminded of a comment that I had, and it probably speaks to the sort of Skyloft being phased out. A couple of people in my comments were saying stuff like, I feel, well, actually Bones, for example, so speaking of notable people, said it sucks that our top players are influential enough that they can do stuff like campaign to get FD banned, or that, like, that they could be the ones that decide whether we have a stage or not. I would kind of push back on that, being like, well, who is supposed to decide? Could you guys speak to kind of like what would you like if we were to implement stages? How would you set that up in a way that would feel fair? Like, what would it need to look like? Like, is it democratic, or are the top 100 players the ones voting? Whatever. Like, you guys have any thoughts?
Someone's gonna hate me for my answer.
Oh God.
I already hate you. I don't even know what's going on.
The people who are most informed and are going to have the best opinions are the people who are also the ones that are helping shape the meta. Who are the majority of those people? The players at the top level.
Yep.
And with all due respect, when we're looking at a stage, we're not, like, obviously it has to be considered in some respect, but when we're looking at a stage, the first thing that pops up isn't, how is an 0-2 player going to perform on the stage within these matchups? No, we're not thinking about that. We're thinking, is there a potential where there's a game-breaking scenario that doesn't involve just getting good that we need to address? And most people, there are people, again, like I said, there are people who are informed whose opinions I will trust. Like, let's say we wanted the base parameters, you want it to be, I'm not saying this is, but I'm going to give an example. Let's say base parameter, we want someone to be top 20 to give input. I would still trust June with it more so than some of them, because he's just informed, and that's okay. You don't have to be an amazing player to be informed, but again, the criteria of being informed is very important. And
subjective too, though, unfortunately, as well, right?
Yeah, it is,
like based on your opinion.
But you can have a panel, like if you have let's say we wanted a criteria of like, okay, top 30 or 40 players can choose. They could also have a panel of people like, okay, who else would we want in? Because we would undoubtedly want other people on it as well that aren't just competitors. And you could have like a panel of people like, okay, who would we trust with these opinions? Now, who would have good opinions? Who do we trust? There are going to be flaws, of course, but that's probably how I would do it.
So I think being informed is definitely important when making these decisions. But based on how stage decisions have happened in the past, it's probably not going to be a centralized body that is like, hey, we're going to play with the stage list. There's the top-down approach, which is like top players being like, hey, we like these stages, let's play them. And then people will start playing them. And then there's the bottom up, which is like grassroots people, TOs, running tournaments featuring these stage lists. And then people play it that way. Both have viability, and I think both are important. And that's sort of how stage lists, like stage things, have changed in the past. Like something happening in a tournament, and then a stage gets banned. Or like somebody runs a bunch of tournaments without wobbling, and then wobbling gets banned. No,
that was kind of... Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, that's sort of been how a lot of changes have happened, because there's no like centralized governing body for stages in Melee. I guess that's like an issue and like a good thing sometimes in Smash, like that it's just so decentralized. But yeah.
Well, what I was gonna say was just like, when I read that comment, I was like, yeah, but that's how we basically made a lot of decisions. It doesn't inherently mean they're always going to be bad decisions. Like, and we can undo decisions if they're like, we banned and unbanned and rebanned wobbling. But like, you could easily just say like, we banned I don't know, Rainbow Cruise just because of like 1 or 2 tournaments, or like, you know what I mean? Like, not just that, but people went like, I've had enough, we're getting rid of this stuff. So, Walt, you haven't kind of weighed in. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, guys, those are all really good ideas and all. But the only true way to determine if a stage is going to be legal or not is to take all of the pro FD players and all of the against FD players, put them into one room, and have a trial by combat. And you have everyone play one giant 50v50 crew battle, and the winner decides if the stage stays or goes.
And it's the Tangle stage. They gotta play on the Tangle stage.
It's FD with Tangles. It's like...
this has been a desire for me for a while. You know, maybe one day I'll set this up. Is to just have like a Discord of like basically any opinion maker in the community that I actually care about, and survey them, because there's there's videos I wanted to do about like what it would be like to see in commentary, like top players' opinions, and this is one of them where like I wanted to make a poll like, okay, if how many people actually want to ban FD, or like what would be down for it? How many people? Because one of the things when people bring up the slippery slope thing and they're like, what are we going to do? Change characters? I bet if you surveyed people in the top 100, literally no one would say they want to have characters be changed in any way. Like, I don't think you'd have a single person. But I can't prove that, because if I do a Twitter poll, I'm going to get like Tingle
big
ratioed.
So. Yeah, I can't wait to not get invited to that Discord after today's episode.
I mean, I wouldn't be invited either, but the thing, I'd be running it, but I'd be like, don't worry, I won't participate. So,
yeah. So we had a couple questions on Twitter for the hashtag Ask the Mixup, guys. Let's get it trending, everybody. Not really.
We'll get it.
I mean, it worked the first couple episodes.
It did, yeah, it did.
We didn't give enough.
It's a hard one because we kind of knew what we were going to have. Like, it was way more structured, I think, than maybe
we didn't
first
need
episode.
the questions. We're already going really long, so we should probably.
Yeah, so these two are really quick. So we got Nick Dude on Twitter saying, what stage would you like to see ported to Melee? This is the theme of the night is easily, no question, Smashville, in my opinion. And then the meme answer would be anything with Tingle. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything that you're like super like, I would love to have this. I know the Congo Jungle one, or Jungle Japes one, was the huge one as well.
Yeah, I personally would be a fan of adding like something that's resembled Smashville, something that resembled WarriorWare, and that Jungle Japes thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would. Those are the 3 stages I would want, and then something to help floaties.
Yeah,
I'm really interested to see what the floaty stuff would be, because I kind of agree with you that like this current stage list sort of favors spacies, and it'd be interesting to see stages that were designed specifically as like a floaty counterpick or something. But if I were to start it off, it'd be Jungle Japes for sure. I feel like there aren't very good arguments against it.
So this question is from Jesse Wall. I think we're going to save this for another episode because it seems more prudent to, but just to acknowledge that we see it. It's going to be talking about online rankings. I do think that's better suited for an episode that's not this at some point. Mostly so we can tell Cody that he's number one. Yeah. But the last thing I wanted to ask, because I was playing with June the other day and he brought this up, and you guys all kind of mentioned an idea of like stages that benefit floaties. Who was it that you said, June? Was it Blur that said this? Are floaties officially dead? Is that what the take is?
Yeah, Blur may have kind of just looked at a specific sample of data and went, okay, floaty players are dead. Like, floaties are no longer viable because they're not doing well at this moment, in brackets, right now. And I can, as somebody who's academically literate, I cannot tell you how many ways he's wrong.
Fox is dead. Hasn't won a major in over a year. Fox is dead. Can't do it in today's meta. Bad character. Can't do it. Okay. I'm a low-tier hero. I'm
sorry for opening the gates of hell on that one. I just had to bring it up when you all mentioned floaties at the same time.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a bad opinion.
Yes. It's not even an opinion. It's just factually wrong.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
I think
I'm sorry if you're watching this, Blur.
That, like, he has some amazing tweets. And again, I love Blur, so like I'm not going to shit talk him, but some of his tweets are terrible. And that was definitely one of them where it was like, I mean, man, like, yeah, did you just watch a top 8 of a tournament and be like, floaties are dead, man? Like,
no floaties. I'm pretty sure, like, in the next few weeks, there was a very floaty heavy bracket.
Yeah.
Wait, no, I think it's Xanadu. This is just like any Mexico.
Also, they're winning majors. Smart's a floaty, dude.
Smart's a middleweight. I would
he's not. He's a floaty. Sheik's a midweight. Sheik's a middleweight.
Sheik's a middleweight.
That's fair.
Smart's a floaty.
I don't
ultimately.
Smart's a demon, is what he is.
Yes, there we go. Yeah. We'll get to the man conversation on another day.
Let's play Jungle Japes.
I think we should probably wrap it up, right?
Yeah,
like, I think
for sure.
We kind of.
Yeah, we got a lot done.
Don't want to keep people too long, so thank thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. Maybe we'll start with June. Do you want to plug yourself? Tell us a bit about where we can find you.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. Had a really good time. If you want to hear me tweet thoughts occasionally, follow me at my Twitter that Walt has so graciously put here, and then also my YouTube. I think I forget the specific link, but if you look up Junebug Smash,
I'll link it
should come up. Thank you. Yeah, then I tweet or post things about like character analysis, game community analysis, game analysis, just sometimes some memes here and there. Gotta throw in a meme. But yeah, definitely just looking to expand it in that sort of content. And yeah, really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think you're quite close to 5K right now. So
oh yeah,
let's get the big push there.
I'm 10 subscribers away from 5K.
Okay, you got it tonight,
Come on, guys, let's go.
Get in there by the end of the stream. Get in there by the end of the stream.
That's like the first of many big milestones, probably, right?
Yeah,
I don't know what's
Congrats.
after. Is it 10K after that? And then
10K is definitely the next one because that's actually even YouTube has like they call it like the bronze.
I was popping off like every like 1,000, and it was awesome. So
yeah, no.
Keep the fire alive.
I now I understand how people get like addicted to stocks because I've just been like watching the metrics.
Big number.
Number go up. Woo.
Yeah. All right, and Cody, can you tell us where to find more from you? If the people who aren't watching the stream already.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm streaming. You can just come over to my stream after Walt's done. I kind of forgot the thing was today, and so I play my stream during the Anyways, iBDW SSBM on Twitter and YouTube. I do daily YouTube stuff. I tweet a lot. Sometimes it's annoying, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's irrelevant, but you'll see it if you follow. I am doing, because it's the theme of this, custom stage tournament. Next Friday is my birthday. I'm getting old. I'm turning 26. And I'm running a tournament that day. It's $500 pop bonus. Zane and Axe already confirmed that they're entering. I know a bunch of my friends are entering, like Toussaint, a bunch of Tri-State people, a bunch of my server. They just haven't actually signed up. I have to bug them to do that.
Sounds like Smashers.
Yeah, maybe Moki. But it's just sub to enter, but there's a big pop bonus, and it'll be super fun. So you should check it out.
What time is it on the 15th?
4 p.m.
EST, yeah.
And the 15th is a Friday, right?
Yeah.
Shit, that's right when I get out of work. Okay, maybe I'll try to make it.
I can make an exception.
I mean, I'm gonna go 0-2 anyway, so
I might do. If enough people say that they have work, I might push to like 4:30.
Okay.
5. So then it's easier for West Coast too. I might just body my sleep schedule for one day. I might make it like 5 just to make it people who have work possible.
I'm gonna message you privately if you need help with that too. But
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm definitely trying to help with that.
Yeah, no, I'll hit you both up.
Cool.
I'm actually giving someone my Discord password so they can do my DMs for me because I'm so bad at responding. It's unreal how, because I just don't have time, honestly, like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And I get to them, I'm like, I have so much stuff I still need to do. I don't want to do this right now.
We get it. You're
life of a streamer.
No, I'm just lazy.
It's so hard.
I need my free time. I literally just need my free time or I go crazy.
No, yeah, I respect that.
Also, that's like one of the most draining things to do. Like, it's the same as answering emails. Like, you're just like, oh god,
I just don't really.
No,
I also do lessons on Patreon, so I have like 30 students messaging me like on any given day, and it's like it's too many messages. I need someone to do it for me.
But hey, guys, in any case, June, Cody, thank you guys so much for being a part of this episode. Had a lot of fun with this one. Moral of the story, guys, just put Tingle in your stages and I'm all in. So, and ban FD, I guess, until the trial by combat happens. But thanks again for joining us on this. This was a really fucking awesome episode. I'm really glad that we were able to get you guys on for it. As for us, Radar, obviously, really great to have you every episode as the co-host here. We'll be on ideally every other Thursday, so we kick off with the first Thursday of the year, and we should be back 2 weeks from now with another new episode. And perhaps it's going to be on some online rankings, whatever else might be going down in the next few weeks. Cody, your tournament as well. Lots of cool stuff going on. Melee is fucking sick, so let's keep at it. And a little bit of a self-plug. I might be streaming after this separately a little bit, so if you guys are interested, stay tuned. We'll do a little bit of an after show, just kick it, hang
What are you
out,
streaming?
chat, whatever.
Just Melee or?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Maybe Melee, but then I'm just gonna get
right? Like who knows?
yeah, like the true streamer way, right? I'm not
Life
planning
is
this.
your oyster, man.
But yeah, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and as always, we will see you guys next Thursday for another episode of the Mix Up.